Yes.
Kenneth Arnold, lights flashing, 47 saucers passing, Roswell crash, Debris field, Ramey memo half revealed, Project Sign, Project Grudge, Cold War skies, the radar buzz, Blue Book files locked away, Men in Black say no one saw a thing today.
Watch closely as a different U.S. drone drops a Hellfire missile on that fast-moving orb. The missile appearing to bounce off the object.
Foo Fighters over World War II, Nazi discs, the rumors grew. Operation Paperclip, V2 rockets, secret ships, Maury Island fragments fall, Flatwoods monster standing tall. Every decade, every night, something strange is in the sky. We didn't stop the sightings. They've been in the heavens while the world keeps fighting. We didn't stop the sightings. No, we didn't light it, but we're trying to find it.
That's not LNS though, is it? It's not. I do know LNS, but if there's a good thing, it's rotating.
Betty Barney, missing time. Hills recall a bright white sign. Kecksburg Bell in Pennsylvania. Sheriff says it tried to change ya. Shag Harbor glowing gold. Halt at Rendlesham, for it's cold. Ariel School, the kids all stare. They were here, they were really there. Brazil's barking, a creature found. Phoenix lights above the town. Bubbly's our element point beat. Craft that jumped like in a dream. Skinwalker Ranch, dimension tears. Cattle vanish in the air. Something's humming out of view. Pilots whisper, yeah, we saw it too. We didn't start the sightings. They've been in the heavens while the world keeps fighting. We didn't start the sightings. No, we didn't light it, but we're trying to find it. Radar pings and thermal flares. Oceans hide what's under there. Satellites and space command. Still no one quite understands. For every secret government file, another witness walks a mile to say, I know what I saw tonight, and the truth is sitting out of sight. Tic-tac dancing near the fleet as it moves too neat. Howdy out dip, digging through the past. Wilson memo leaks at last. Eric Davis briefing notes. Kraft retrieved the rumor floats. Congress asked, reveal the proof. Whistleblowers raise the roof. NASA study, hearings loud. Disclosure talk inside the crowd. Maybe soon we'll read the page. Tape in hiding, age to age. Human future, open sky. What's above we can't deny. From the old world to tonight, something's burning in the light.
Right, that was enough of that song because it kept lagging for some reason because I'm loaded loads of tabs up, so I didn't want to piss you off with that for too long. So thank you for the people that have been waiting patiently and stuff like that. You have been moaning at me to do Bashar and Dolores. I've got a couple of them. Got a couple of other people I've never heard of before. The topic is about 2026, 2027. Yes, I am very skeptical. I've seen someone comment, John, same old. Totally get it. Totally get why you're saying that, John, but, you know, bear with me. I'm not there to say this is going to happen or anything like that. I'm there because I'm open-minded, and I'm there because this channel, I do most of my content around what you want, not necessarily what I want to do. So I did watch something with Bashar the other day, a new interview that he posted which was a bit more about him. Like every time I've seen a clip of Bashar, it's been Bashar channeling, clicking, and me looking at him thinking, what the fuck is he doing? So I listened to him. He made some sense. Now, obviously, I can't share the full interview, but I'll be sharing some clips of that. But I'm going to start with this one first, this clip here, which I don't even know who this is. This is just a short clip. Oh, it's Bashar. This is one of the clips of Bashar, but it's not the interview that I want to think. So we're going to go straight into it with this here. How are we all tonight? Anyway, I'm on the whiskey and coke. Shock horror. I usually drink cups of tea. You know what I'm like. I don't like to drink and stream.
Everything will change. He's been saying everything will change, and it's all leading up to that. And yeah, I would love to just go there, because he's saying that open contact is imminent, and that within 2 years, our society will be introduced to most likely hybrids, Pleiadians, and many other species.
Yeah.
Could you expand on that?
Yeah, and he's not the only one saying that. There are other psychic mediums that have picked up upon that particular wave of change and have said basically, yeah, we're looking roughly at about 2 years for the disclosure of all UFO information, for open contact to begin, for the public to be made aware of the fact that we're not alone and never have been alone. And so I think that that's still on track, as far as I understand, that 2026 is the year of disclosure of a lot of information that will get people used to the understanding and used to the idea that extraterrestrials are with us and have been with us for a long time, and that 2027 is basically the target date.
So this was from a month ago, this one,
for when we would be made publicly aware of that fact, and that we would have actual ETs being introduced to us through official channels. Now, my understanding is that certain factions of extraterrestrials, what we refer to as hybrid extraterrestrials, and these are not human beings, they're beings that are a mix of Homo sapiens and extraterrestrial genetics that were not born on Earth, but have been brought to Earth, but look human enough that they can mingle among us, work among us, and they have been living and working among us for a while, helping with certain scientific advancements, certain sociological advancements, environmental advancements, quietly behind the scenes. But my understanding is that the first stage of open contact would be the revelation of who these beings actually are. They know who they are, of course, but right now they're keeping it secret because it's not time yet for their presence to be revealed among us. But when open contact occurs, they will be the first level, shall we say, of extraterrestrials we'll be able to interact with. And as we get used to doing that, then we will be introduced to more and more, let's say, pure extraterrestrial beings, Pleiadians and so forth. Over the next couple of decades, will be integrated more and more into our society, or perhaps more precisely, we will be integrated into their society and, become members of a galactic family.
Well, from what he's saying here, do you think there's a chance that what they've tried to do is to alter the DNA of certain humans, certain bloodlines, give them some special abilities? That's going to be disclosed, that certain people have abilities on Earth, they're human beings, but they're part alien. We're not going to be terrified from looking at another human being, and we're not going to be terrified to find out they've got an ability. Is that the way they could do it, to stop us being like ontologically shocked and seeing this? And then as we develop and we find out why these certain human beings have more power than the rest of us, it then goes on to these are the alien beings and stuff like that. So it's like a slow disclosure that, some of these aliens are human beings and they've been around us forever and stuff, and the family members and stuff like that. And it's...
So I believe we're starting to see the signs of this accelerating now, with all of these congressional hearings on disclosure UFO information, the fact that they're now exploring and examining how to create conditions and laws for whistleblowers and military people to come forth with their UFO experiences, with their knowledge of what's going on behind the scenes, like reverse engineering programs and things like that. And that they're creating laws to protect these people so they can come forth with their information without fear of ridicule, without fear of losing their careers over this. So that's a big change in our society. And I see it only accelerating. In fact, even recently, I think one of the whistleblowers started just literally naming names of people that have been involved in these programs who have.
Yeah, I think the bloodlines is an important thing. I'm going to do a separate video on that. I was going to do a live on it, but I'm actually going to do a video on that because I need to research, get all the research, and do an actual video for that one. Not everything I can do. I could do it on a live stream, but I want to get a video out there on that first. I was going to turn this into a video, but I thought, you know what? I'm going to share it and just converse with you because you wanted this. So I want you to give me questions, and I'll have questions, and you might be able to give me answers because a lot of you are a lot more spiritual than I am.
Been secretly involved, and now they're literally just saying, well, this person was involved and this person was involved. So it gives us something to look into. So I see this as accelerating through 2026 and ideally culminating in 2027 as open contact.
Wow, fascinating. And when you speak about interaction, what has Bashar said about that? Are we speaking about that the governments and certain people are interacting with them,
Yes.
or us as well, like
Well,
interacting with them
yes,
face to
we
face?
are. There are individuals. Yes, of course, there are encounters that happen and things like that. But I mean, officially, my understanding is that there are certain ETs that are officially working, or well, behind the scenes, unofficially, I suppose, working with scientists, working with government officials, certain ones.
See, I find that interesting because I believe that. I believe that there's something we heard about the. Do you remember the person that remote viewed? I think it's the lady actually. I'll show a clip in a minute. She remote viewed the Black Triangle in Alaska, and she got kicked out by other astral beings, but there was alien beings there, and these beings can see these people that are astral projecting. And we're seeing it a lot now with these people that are doing DMT. We're seeing a pattern that these are being blocked from entering the DMT world. Now, I'm not a DMT expert. I've never tried it. I want to try it. But these people seem to be getting blocked out for whatever reason and stuff like that. Someone sent me a message the other day, which I watched a video on. It was fucking funny as fuck. But if it's true, it's very interesting. Of her DMT experience. But she's a psychologist and she's scared of putting a video out there. I'm like, don't be scared. The chances are that your bosses and that won't see the video. But if you've got psychologists that are on DMT and they can't explain what they're... I want them to be sharing the videos so we can go up on my playlist of people's experiences.
Environmental engineers, people like that, moving our technology, moving our understanding of our connection to nature forward a bit at a time. But again, that can accelerate when their identities are made public because we'll be able to interact with them directly. We won't necessarily have to go through a lot of the officials at this point. It won't be a secret anymore. So the first group we'll be able to interact with face-to-face directly will be the extraterrestrial hybrids that have already been among us because they're already part of our society in a sense. We sometimes encounter them. We sometimes come across them. They have the ability telepathically to sort of get us to ignore them. At the moment, there have been stories and reports of, many people in society kind of saying, well, I ran across this unusual individual and they just felt wrong. They just felt like they didn't belong here or something was odd about them. But then I just kind of mysteriously forgot about it and went on my day. So there are those kinds of crossings where we do run into them now and then. But at this point, because it's not appropriate for them to reveal who they are, they will telepathically encourage us to forget that we saw them or look away or go about our business. When the day comes when they are revealed to us, that won't happen anymore. We'll be able to interact with them directly.
Interesting. And why is this happening now? Is that because we have increased our vibration? Because I do see some sort of a paradox there. And I had a woman reaching out to me. She is a great fan of your work. And she said, could you please ask this question to Darryl? Because we see world leaders today who have a mindset of power and war and control. And wouldn't they see this as a threat and act accordingly?
Yes. Well, again, they're operating out of fear. You have to understand that what's going on right now in the world with all the chaos and uncertainty and attempts to control everything and attempts to gain power are really reactions to feeling powerless. These people operate out of fear. They don't feel connected. They don't feel powerful. They're extremely insecure. and therefore they have to sort of reach out physically and try to control their environment to give them some semblance of the idea of power. And of course, this is not true power. This is simply the attempt to cover up the fact that they feel powerless, that they feel less than, that they're full of fear, that anything will change to expose the idea that they believe is true about themselves, which is that they are powerless, which isn't true. They just don't understand what real power is, what real connection to source is. They don't understand these things. But this is chaos now because we're getting all of this up out into the open, out of our systems, so everyone can see very, very plainly what the negative side is like, so we can see by contrast more clearly what the positive choices are that we need to make to turn the world around. So that's why all of this is coming out into the public, why it's being put on the table. It's, you know, agents of change, both positive and negative, still serve to change things by demonstrating things we do prefer and things we don't prefer much more blatantly and much more clearly, so that there's no confusion between the two, so that we can finally say, okay, this doesn't work for us. We need to make a change. And we're seeing more and more and more options coming up with recent events all over the world about things that we simply will no longer abide, that we have to do something about, that we have to take steps to change, so that we're doing so for the benefit of humanity in general and not just for the benefit of the few.
So that's the first clip. We've got quite a few clips to go through here and stuff like that. So, like, whenever I've watched Bashar, it's always been the he's in a trance, he's doing his clicking. Those are the videos I've watched. I've actually spent a bit of time, because you've asked me to do it, and I have to listen to you because you're the ones that run this channel. Give him some time, and when you listen to him, and I'm going to play another clip of Bashar in a minute on the new interview, which was 5 days ago. He's very intelligent, and a lot of his thing matches up with a lot of my research and a lot of your research and a lot of other people's research that are on these other platforms and stuff like that and on these podcasts. So maybe I judged him too much as being a grifter or someone that's trying to jump on the bandwagon and maybe spread false bullshit. We have to sit on that. We don't know if something's going to happen this year. It looks, so they did say all hell's going to break loose in 2026. We're in March. All hell has broke loose. We're close to World War III. So there's something going on, right? Bledsoe said something about April. We've got Brad of ARC that I had the interview with, said something's going to happen. We've had Mark say about a disclosure speech, which he's backed up on that. It's backed out of at the minute. Doesn't necessarily mean maybe something's happened there and they've just let him down, or he just wants to just get out of that entire thing at the minute. And I don't blame Mark if he wants to do that. So some of the clips I'm going to go through involves, well, I'm not going to tell you, we're just going to go straight to them. So this was the, in fact, no, I'm going to go to this one actually. This is the lady that spoke about remote viewing, so I'm going to go to this one. This is the one that got kicked out of it, but she's speaking about a little bit about 2026.
Back in 2010, and then just in 2024, I got certified, so super recently. Okay, so I remote view 2026. Just putting out a disclaimer, any and all timelines exist simultaneously. So especially these days with so much fluctuation in the collective timelines, it is hard to really nail something down for good. So I just have to always put that out there. But yeah.
Just to say as well, if there's anything that you can think of in your mind where you think it can tie into this live, drop the link in the comments if it's related to people's predictions for 2026, 2027. Tell me who it is. I'll click the link and I'll get it up. Welcome in, Alien Girl. Everyone make sure to give Alien Girl a follow. She does some really good content and everybody needs to support her.
A bunch of things came through. So one of the things that came through that was really specific, and like I said, take it or leave it, but I actually saw Elon Musk and Vladimir Putin getting together. I don't know if that's going to be a mainstream thing. I don't know if we're going to hear about it. Obviously, if it was a public get-together, we would hear about it, or if it is going to be more behind the scenes. And I don't really know the nature of why they got together to begin with. So that's interesting. I definitely saw a lot of stuff coming up about...
What's interesting was, just a couple of months back, there was rumours that Elon had met Vladimir Putin for a business deal, and nobody ever really covered it afterwards. It was just a rumour that went round. Is this what she remote viewed?
ET disclosure, both at a more governmental level, so it could be declassified documents, CIA leaks, or actually just in-person real sightings that go viral. It is quite difficult right now at this time to discern just because of AI and these sort of videos. But yeah, so ET disclosure or contact in late summer or early fall. I also saw a lot of fear around a cataclysmic event. So this is something that maybe the psychics that you bring on or just people online are going to start talking about. Even really religious people or Christians are going to start talking about this weird impending sort of, it could be another sort of viral rapture moment. Or it could be just sort of a feeling that people are having or random dreams that non-psychics, non-Christians are also having as well. And the cataclysmic event feels like kind of like a fiery event. So whether that is sort of a volcanic eruption or a meteor strike or even sort of a nuclear bombing, this year is going to bring about...
Can I ask everyone a question that's in the chat here? Do you think for disclosure to happen, it has to happen during a war? Where the world is at turmoil, because the world is not united. There is no chance we are going to get the world united in the next 10, 20, 30 years. Not a chance. There's too much hatred, division amongst the religions. I'm not attacking religion here. I'm just saying there's too much going on at the minute with the Middle Eastern people. What really annoys me is they're coming into European countries, fleeing from their countries, and then when our countries are going to war with those Middle Eastern countries, they're doing protests in our countries that they don't like what we're doing in their countries, but yet they fucking fled from it. This is where I can't make that make sense to me. I can't make sense of that. If I'm fleeing from the UK and I go to a Middle Eastern country and the Middle Eastern countries come and attack the UK because of what they're doing, I wouldn't go protesting, saying you think if they're taking out the bad people, the reason I fled my own country, I would support them, but I would say don't go attacking my family members and stuff like that. There's things like that going on. I can't get my head around what's going on in the UK at the minute. I feel like something's changed over the last 10 years, like massively changed in the UK, and I think people are feeling it in the United States and around the world. And you've got Poland, who is steadfast in we're not having anybody in, and look how it's booming at the minute. And we had a massive Polish influx in the UK in the 90s and the early 2000s. I've worked with a lot of them. They never came to this country. They never tried to change the way that the British culture was or anything like that. They got involved. They became part of the British culture. And then we had another influx of different types of cultures that did not mix with this country. And we've seen it not just in the UK, we've seen it now around all the other European countries. I can't get my head around it. I really can't get my head around it. There must be a plan in the background, and it's for something that's going to happen. It must be that must be the reason for it, because our Prime Minister must be blind with what he's saying. He's either reading a script that's been put in front of him and he said, you fucking say this, you ain't running. We hear the rumours that they get given these papers and stuff anyway. They don't run the country. It looks obvious that that's what's going on, because any normal person would not be saying the thing that he's saying at the minute with what's going on. It's insane. Absolutely insane. I can't get my head around it. I really can't.
More people talking about a doomsday event happening.
Wow.
Yeah. Which is fascinating. I saw something come up with a school bus. Nothing. I don't know what came up about that. I know that in my last prediction video, I saw a plane crash, and we had a scary number of plane crashes happen in 2025. So I am going to bring up the school bus. I don't know why.
Wow.
But it was just a very clear vision. There was something about a school bus. Maybe it's an accident or an incident. I also saw, so just at a sort of global political level, there's going to be a really big shift away from globalization. So at this point in time, I mean, we've got trade between us, the USA and all countries around the world. That makes it easy to have pineapples in the store, in December, for example, right? But now we're going to see this downturn in globalization and sort of an uptick in sort of nationwide sustainability. So it's like, what else can we bring into the nation that we can produce and create so we don't have to rely on other countries? But that's going to be a trend all over the world, is countries sort of being more...
So I don't know much about this woman. I've seen her in the past, and so I've followed her I've reached out to her. I went to interview her, actually. I've not... she's difficult to get hold of. If you can get hold of her for me, I like to interview people outside the box like this that give this. I don't know what to make of her. Do you think she's been genuine? Do you think she has had these experiences? I believe remote viewing. I 100% believe you can do astral projection. I believe you can do that. I've tried to do that myself with the gateway tapes. I've had moments when I feel like I'm leaving my body and I've shit myself and I've just opened my eyes because I felt like I've levitated 6, 7, 8 feet out of my body when I've been laid down, and I open my eyes and I'm in my body. So maybe I have. Is that me leaving my body, but when I open my eyes I'm back? I don't know. I shit it. I'm not scared to admit that.
More self-sustainable. I'm not sure why, but that was quite clear. It also felt like there was going to be a really big collusion revealed. And the collusion would be between the USA and another country that we wouldn't expect. I'm not sure what country it was, but it seems like that's going to be something that's revealed. And
that's interesting. For me, that's got to be either the UK or Israel. Because although I'm British and I love my country and stuff like that, I don't necessarily love my government, and I don't trust my government, and I know for a fact there's been atrocities under the name of my government and stuff like that, and in the name of the USA. And we know for a fact, when I grew up in the 90s and the early 2000s, you never heard of Israel. Like, Israel wasn't a big thing. Israel over the last 5 years has become a major thing, a major ally to the United States. Where's that fucking come from? Like, you'd never hear of Israel. Israel was just there. You fucking there. You would just know you as that Israel over there in the Middle East. Like, now they're a big part, and they're like, everyone's like bowing down to Israel. I can't get my head around it, because it's like something's changed in the timeline. Everything's been fucked up, and now Israel's like a major ally of the United States. Where was that? That was never played out in the media in the 90s and the early 2000s and stuff like that. Tell me if I'm wrong. I don't remember it.
It's actually going to really affect the stock markets, and it's going to really affect the trust of the American people in our own government. I mean, take a look at the state of things. We don't really have a lot of trust as it is.
Yeah.
But definitely some collusion being revealed this year is going to be huge. I also saw a lot of sudden deaths or CEOs leaving. So prominent figures, we're talking political figures, CEOs, celebrities, they're either going to have these kind of weird random sudden deaths, or they're just going to leave their positions of power. That's going to be more subtle, but it's going to accumulate throughout the year.
Wow, there's already been 2 of those, by the way.
Oh, this year?
That have left suddenly. Tim Waltz.
No.
Welcome in, Skywatch. Just an update. We're going playing some many clips here about 2026, 2027 people that are doing channeling. I'm giving it the time of day because something's going on. I am more into the spiritual side of things now and stuff like that. Heiser has stopped fetching me, laugh my ass off. I'm going to sack Heiser. No, he's here. He's in the background, but he's working. He's sorting his garden out or something like that. I think he's using Manscaped.
No way.
Who was running for VP last term, just left Minnesota, and Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Wow. Yeah.
You could share the live on your X, though, because you're a big player on X. That would help out, being, the top geezer and that.
Yeah. And what's interesting is I did this prediction video on December 15th.
Wow.
So I always do my prediction video in the year before, just to make sure that I'm not in the, while I'm making the predictions. I'm also seeing a lot of big medical breakthroughs as well. So we're going to see things like cancer and disease research. This is going to be not from the big cancer companies, of course. It's going to be from sort of these smaller groups and organizations that are finally able to sort of break through some of the suppression around.
Do you think a lot of the cancer cures as well? Because we're finding that we're on ChatGPT 5 now. The same by ChatGPT 6 you'll be able to create businesses. ChatGPT 7 will be able to run businesses, and ChatGPT 8 will be able to cure diseases like cancer and stuff like that. How many people are going to jump on the bandwagon of that? Say that they've got the cure for cancer when really AI has created this cancer cure. They're going to monetize it, and they're going to put a price tag on it and stuff like that. How many people are going to make so much money from AI, especially from ChatGPT 7 and 8? That's where it's supposed to go to. At the least 9, you're going to start getting cancer cures. We got this Chinese or Japanese guy recently, I can't remember his name, who's saying that he's very close to curing cancer and stuff like that. If you can get me or remember his name, put it in the chat box, please. I'd love to play that or do a video on it. I think there's going to be a lot of money made, a lot of human beings making a lot of money, and they've already got it all planned because they're probably 2-3 ChatGPTs ahead of what's being released now, where they're already going to start opening businesses because they know what's coming. They're going to get all that information about cancer and they're going to monetize it. And good that they can save people's lives and stop that disease. 100%. That's what we need. But it's about making the money. It's not. That's all. It's about money, and we still got to go to work 5 days a week. They're going to fucking keep our frequencies at the worst level possible because they like to keep us in stress, depression, and all that kind of fucking shit.
around that. So there's going to be more talk about that as well. And then let's talk about AI for a second as well. So what I saw was something called, and I don't know if this is a thing.
166 in, folks. If you could please hit that thumbs up, really does help a small channel from a lad from Manchester in the UK. It really does help. Thank you.
Out there right now, but I saw something called like a human first movement is what came through. So there's going to be really big debates over especially home robots. More so by the end of this year, people are going to talk more and more about it because, you know, what's the long-term effect of this? I get that it can help in certain ways, but I think people are going to feel like, you know, AI and even these home robots are going to be taking jobs. And so a lot of people are going to come together for more of like this human.
This is a live where I'm going to be discussing and interrupting and looking at the comments. I am so excited about these robots, home robots. Like, I want one. I think it's going to be like $20,000. I can't afford that, but I'm going to try and then get one if I can get one, maybe second hand or on Facebook Marketplace, you know, try and get a dodgy robot. But nothing's unhackable. Like, we don't know what these robots, what anybody could be taking over that robot and seeing through it and stuff like, you know, this camera I'm using now, I always make sure it's off, and my camera on my phone. We know these from other podcasts where these hackers tell you how easy it is to get in your phone. Look at Kash Patel, his emails have been hacked. He's got pictures and videos of him dancing around like a fucking idiot. And we're going to allow these $20,000 robots into our home and not expect it to be able to be hacked or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? That's my sick mind went there of what this. I could come home one day and find this robot doing shit like that. You know, it's insane. But I want one still. I want one. I'll fucking fill it in if it does anything. I'll tip water on the bastard.
Human first movement. I'm not really sure where it's going to go, but we're going to see the battle between humans and AI really kick up this year. Also, just with the stock markets, there's going to be a lot of instability. So once again, a downturn in the stock markets, and then same thing, an uptick in cryptocurrency and precious metals. Yeah, and another really...
Good to see you still here, John Smith. I thought you might have left after your comment saying same old. Give the live a chance. Like I said, you've got to be open-minded to everything. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to believe everything. And that's the kind of guy I am. I have to dish up the content and leave it out there for people. Otherwise, I'm not going to learn anything. If I just go for what I think, I'm not going to learn anything, am I?
The random thing, but hey, if it happens and it comes true, like, it's pretty badass. I saw it's going to sound weird, but I saw a man in a bird suit. It's funny because I think, like, since the invention of airplanes, like, we've all just wanted to, like, fly and, like, be free in that way.
Yeah.
And, it seems like with technology advancements and AI development.
Imagine you walk in and the robot's making love to your missus's love purse, and you walk in and the robot turns around and says, "She loves me now. She does not want you. I have all the answers for her, and I have an extendable penis. Here are your suitcases. Please leave right now." What would you do?
Developments, something like that is possible, right? So AI is really making the impossible possible these days. And I saw this man, I guess, inventing a bird suit or in a bird suit, and it being pretty big news.
Wow.
And that potentially being in 2026. And then there's going to be developments with not necessarily Elon Musk and Neuralink, because I know that's on our list to talk about today. But it's all...
We talk a lot on this show about taking risks and trying.
Fucking microphone. Right, my mic muted. Testing is just making sure he was awake in the comments. So, she's a remote viewer, and it was she said about the Elon Musk and Putin and stuff like that, and 2026, 2027. But as I said, Skywatch might remember if he's shared a lot of the information and stuff like that. It's back on now. It's back on. The mic's back on. Whether the collusion isn't the UK, maybe it is indeed the Russia and the United States, and maybe Putin and Trump are in bed together on something. Because there's something going on there. He never calls Putin out. You know what I mean? He said he was going to end that war. That war's not ended. That war's not even been talked about now. There are thousands of people being killed every week there still. It's not been discussed. There's a new war going on now. How can Trump say anything about Putin now when he's going to... Basically, we're probably 24 to 48 hours away of seeing boots on the ground. As much as I don't like Keir, I don't know if he's made the right decisions. I think he might have made the right decision not going gung-ho into the Middle East. I think he might have made the right decision there. But some of the shit he comes out with, turning his back on the UK citizens... That really does piss me off with Keir Starmer. But maybe for some reason NATO's holding off, and we know he's been attacking NATO, and we know my theory is the disbandment of NATO and the Five Eyes Alliance. And if you go to the Seoul Foundation, the Seoul Conference, and the Seoul Slow Disclosure Plan, you go to the end goal, Five Eyes Acceptance. What does that mean? Nobody's asking that question. I shared it the other day. What the fuck does Five Eyes Acceptance mean? Is that the new superpower instead of NATO, which would be the UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the United States? Is that going to be the new global superpower? And there's something you need to pay attention to with those countries. Australia is not landlocked. New Zealand is not landlocked. The UK is not landlocked. And Canada is obviously part of the United States. So it's interesting group of fingers there. None of them are actually in. There's France, which is on the thing, gets a little bit of information, but it's not part of the Five Eyes. We're going to go on to the next clip now. The next clip I'm going to play this one. I don't even know who this is, but I'm going to play a little bit of this one before we get to the other bits.
Is why people are a little bit confused about themselves at this time. I don't know really what I really want anymore. I'm not sure if I want to do these things anymore. A lot of people are questioning relationships right now. They're questioning routines because we don't feel the same sense of resonance with structure that we used to. And there's a generalized movement with human collective consciousness towards freedom. But the mind will come in and try to bring us back into structure because that's what it's very used to. So that's a lot of the conflict that's going on in people right now. And how that's really going to show up a little bit more in 2026 for people, very specifically, is through not just what your identity is in the world, but how you're experiencing time. So that's going to be a very big shift in 2026. A lot of people are feeling that already now, that time doesn't seem to be predictable anymore. Sometimes
I don't know who this is. Wisdom from North and Rebecca Dawson channeler. The sources are going to be in the description, so if you want to go and watch the full interviews, which I highly recommend and stuff like that. I've not watched the full interview of this, I'll be honest with you, not this one. I just wanted to know what she was saying about 2026 because I do some research, dig some clips together, because you have to find a pattern with things, don't you? If it's just one or two people, you can say it's absolute bullshit, but there's a pattern of people all around the world, different aspects from what they're coming at this 2026, 2027 with, where you got to think something might be to this. And with what's happening now, right now in the world, it could happen.
things are really speeding up, sometimes things are really slowing down. And that's really getting our biological and vibrational systems unhooked from time structures so that we can actually begin to really evolve both biologically and spiritually at a rate that is able to supersede that slow motion sense of evolution that we've been moving through for so long. So time's a really big one. The way in which we're feeling about relationships is going to be markedly different. And I know this has already been a big theme since 2023 for a lot of people going through what they're feeling about who they're with, what they want to experience, what does partnership and relationship even really mean? What do dynamics in families really mean?
And
So there's a lot happening.
in what way will we experience a relationship differently, or maybe expect differently, or have a need to experience?
So thank you for asking that question. So the way in which we've been taught, and this again goes into our belief systems, particularly around a lot of spiritual doctrine, the way in which the dynamic of the paradigm we've been living in, this third, fourth dimensional paradigm, it's all been about contract and exchange. Contract, exchange, balance, working things out, karma. So that's all based on duality. We're moving out of duality now into what a lot of people have been calling fifth dimensional reality, which is really a bridge to multidimensionality. And that's where we start to move out of contract and we start to move out.
What all this does excite me with, right, regardless of what's being said, one thing that all this has made me believe, which is important for me, is life after death. And that is something I've always been scared of. No one wants to die, right? No one wants to forget everything you've ever built in life and your kids and everything like that. And if there is a life beyond this, or there's something beyond this, I'm excited. I watched David Icke the other day on Area 52. I know a lot about what he says, but he said something good about the... it's like a soul trap. But if you go into the... He said, this is what is interesting, because I recently got onto this because of B.A. Crisps, the person that sent me the Bigelow message. And she was friends with Bigelow. She told me about Tibetan Bon. And he sort of goes on that line as well, David Icke, saying that you can become aware, and then when you go, instead of going to this light and being trapped and being on the planet, they trap you and they teach you these things that you go into the light. But if you're aware and you follow this Buddhism and this Tibetan Bon and all that kind of stuff, you know that this is a trap. So when I come out of my bed, I'm like, no, mate. I watched David Icke. I watched B.A. Chris told me all this. I ain't doing that. I'm going to be self-aware. I'm going to be all one. I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back unless maybe I want to come back and give information. If you can choose your life, maybe I'll come back. But if they just throw you in and you'll end up in the fucking Middle East being bombed and shit, I ain't coming back. If you get to choose your life, maybe I'll come back.
Out of mirroring and exchange in relationships. And how this begins to look for people is, I don't feel like this is reflecting back to me anymore. I don't feel like there's anything I really want from this.
Let me ask that question then. How many people, if you got the option when you die, would you come back to this planet or would you just go? Would you come back? So let me re-ask the question. If you had the choice of your life and you got to pick how your life would go, would you come back? Or would you think, no, I've had enough. I'm fucking off. I'm done. I'm going to become everything. Let me know. I'd be interested.
This person, or perhaps I don't feel like I have anything to give. So it's that bond of exchange, or what we might call contract, that's beginning to dissolve. And when that begins to happen, it can be easy to become disillusioned, because we can start to think, well, why am I in this if there's no exchange, if I can't see that there's anything coming back to me? So I want to encourage anyone that's going through that disillusionment right now, it's okay, because we're actually moving now into a more fifth dimensional paradigm of experience where it's less about exchange and contract.
If there's a part of that Area 52 interview that you want me to cover, I can cover it in this live because it's part of it. So if someone wants to give me the timestamp or the chapter from the David Icke and Area 52 interview that fits in with this live, put it in the chat box and I'll add it to the tab.
And now it's more about resonance and amplification.
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it.
That's enough of that one. Again, the full interview will be on that one. So we're going to go with the next clip this is actually Red Panda Koala. So Red Panda Koala, I'm going to use this because he's an online friend of mine. And he's clipped a part that I want to look at, which is Rot Kultart, which was on Area 52. And it was on the 2027 invasion. So let's look at that.
Who does great production, by the way. Talk about the 2027 stuff. Clip by Vetted. Let's watch it.
Patient meaning.
Asks, after all your conversations in confidence, do you believe something is coming in 2027?
Again, that's an inquiry about my belief. It's not my inquiry about knowledge.
Yes.
I'm in no position to say that I know something. There are people who have speculated to me, people who purportedly have inside knowledge, who may or may not be right, who have said that something is happening in 2027. Other people have said 2034. Other people have admitted to me they really have no bloody idea, but they do think something is coming.
Have any of those people been on this podcast?
Yes.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
All right. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So who's that going to be? I don't know. I can't remember. I don't know what Red says. I think Lou has been on there. Obviously, did he go on after him? No, he went on before him. He's over a year ago because I've got that clip actually. So Lou did go on there. I think he's had the CIA guy, John Ramirez. I think Area 52's interviewed him. I can't remember. Skywatch, do you know? Can you verify whether he's interviewed John Ramirez? He might be another one.
What do you make of that? Do you think that that could be some type of
that could be,
psyop?
Uh-oh. Who could that be? Uh-oh.
Some speculation, and I won't say.
He did say. I didn't know. I didn't click that. I just seen it. He got the clip.
Specifics that there may be something in later on, but the problem is I wouldn't go to the bank with it. And what the specifics are, because it's first of all, it's hearsay, and it's also yes, there was an official effort by some people in the government to actually look at
222 of you. If you could all hit that thumbs up, that would really help the live and help a Manchester lad out from the UK. Thank you. Love you. Bye.
At this data, and there were some products produced. That's a fact. I won't go into more detail than that, but it wasn't 2027.
Okay.
And it was based upon certain observations. And again, I can't. I'm very careful because what I don't want to.
Doesn't this sound a lot like what Michael Ian Black was saying, based on certain observations? So
do is people are going.
I do have to give a shout out to my bro there, Skywatch Signal. He's on X. Skywatch Signal's his name. He has all the latest stuff. He transcribes everything. Anything you want to know about the UFO alien topic, and even it covers other stuff as well. Make sure you give him a follow on X. He has all the latest information.
They're going to take this. They're going to hang on to these words and say, "Lou says."
Let's run it back again, guys.
Is some speculation, and I won't say specifics, that there may be something in later on, but the problem is I wouldn't go to the bank with it, and what the specifics are, because it's first of all, it's hearsay, and it's also yes, there was an official effort by some people in the government to actually look at this data, and there were some products produced. That's a fact. I won't go into more detail than that, but it wasn't 2027.
Okay.
And it was based upon certain observations. And again, I can't. I'm very careful because what I don't want to do is people are going to take this. They're going to hang on to these words and say, "Lou said something's coming." No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that there were some people who were anticipating something happening, and it was officially considered by some people based upon certain things. And a product.
Do you think that the people who tell you that could have been psyoped as well?
Yeah, it could be. And I think what it might be is an attempt by the pro-disclosure people to inject some urgency into the debate about whether or not they should or shouldn't have no bloody idea, but they do think something is coming.
Have any of those people been on this podcast?
Yes.
Okay. All right. That's interesting. Yeah. What do you make of that?
Lou's been on, but I think he's also had John Ramirez on who said that too. Can
I have some feedback as well? I noticed a lot of people use StreamYard and I use OBS. I struggle with StreamYard. Like, I think it looks... I love the OBS for what it is, and I think you can do better setups. Would you rather have your chat on the screen as I've done here, or would you rather me bring it up every now and again, like Red Panda's here doing his bringing chats up and stuff like that? I think it's better to have it constantly on there, right? So people, if they watch it live, they can see your comments as well. I'd like some feedback on that, because I can do some StreamYard lives if you'd like me to do that way.
Do you think that could be some type of psyop? Do you think that the people who tell you that could have been psyoped as well?
Yeah, it could be. And I think what it might be is an attempt by the pro-disclosure people to inject some urgency into the debate about whether or not there should or shouldn't be disclosure.
I see.
What I'm told is that there's a higher degree of uncertainty about what it is that is speculated to be coming than people acknowledge.
Okay,
and also I know the inevitable question is, what do you know is coming? And I don't know anything. People speculate that there's natural disasters, comets, some kind of catastrophe. I've got no idea.
But then
I
also
don't even know if it's true.
This sort of idea of this giant craft coming. We had that, whatever, that 3IA Atlas. We had Oumuamua, like all of these sort of interstellar objects entering our solar system. Do you think, have you been told by these people in confidence?
Oh, I have a quick question to my American followers. Bill Mayer said something the other day about UFOs and stuff like that, and the I've seen it been shared and people have done content on it. What is the big deal about Bill Mayer saying that he thinks UFOs are real? I'm from the UK, so I know who Bill Mayer is, but I know he's a prominent figure in the US. Why is that a big deal? Can someone explain to me in the comments, please, so I can actually get it and understand it? Is that like a big thing in the United States that he said that?
What this might be, or are they also uncertain? They're just like, something's coming.
I've heard so many contradictory accounts. All I know is people murmur and mumble.
Yeah,
that something's on the horizon. Don't quite know.
They've been doing that for a long time.
I know. And I just wonder whether it's just Pentagon tittle tattle. I really do. I
fear mongering.
No, not fear mongering, just tittle tattle.
I see.
I mean, believe it or not, intelligence people, spooks, they gossip just as much as we do.
Yeah, and to the element of this has been going on for a long time, let's go into this one too. Here's Carla Turner, friend of the show. Just kidding, she did pass away a long time ago, but I'd like to imagine she would be. And she, this is Carla.
We did a live on her last night. Do you remember Carla Turner? And I'd only come across her research not this week, or it was the week before. So I thought I'd add it to the list. And as always, this is the list that I'm going through that all you have given me. If you've got any more people you'd like me to do live watch-alongs to, please tell me, and I'll add it. I'm actually on the back page now as well. I added Russ Dizdar. I've never even heard of him. And someone said about American Ultra and stuff like that. So there will be many more watch-alongs. We're going to go through that entire list because my live watch-alongs are driven by you, not me.
Turner, OG UFO investigator, died under mysterious circumstances, as far as I'm concerned, in the 90s. We're going to end in a book about this whole idea of invading aliens. Let's read it. Later that same day, I heard about a disturbing rumor that was making its way through the UFO community with all the speed of a highly contagious virus. Such rumors abounded in the ufological community. This one held that a recent public speaker had supposedly confided to a MUFON member that the Air Force was greatly concerned about a large, unidentified object in space, apparently heading for Earth. When others had tried to track down the source of this rumor, the trail finally led back to some unnamed and retired Air Force officer who kept in contact with his friends still in the service. They had told him that the large object was emitting a lot of radiation and was following an unusual trajectory, which seemed to show intelligent control. So again, this concept of something imminent coming, it's not new. It's been used time and time again. And
I did try to go on Red Panda's live the other day. I went on there with him, but for some reason it was echoing, so I had to come off it. I would like to interview Red Panda, actually. Not necessarily because of what he knows, just to gauge who he is, because a lot of people have a misconception about Red Panda and think he's an evil person, and, he's part of this and part of that, he's attack people. I think me and him could have a really good conversation, or maybe do a co-host and get him on and go through some research and stuff like that. I think he's well-read in stuff, and I think I'm well-read in stuff, and I think I'd love to do that and get 4 or 5, get Skywatch up as well, and get multiple people in, but I'd love to do it through OBS, not through StreamYard. I think it's important to get these people that people have misconceptions about, especially on X, because I'll be honest with you, X is fucking horrible. My advice: go to TikTok. Go to TikTok and go on a live there. It's miles better. And face to camera as well. I hate people when they speak just audio. I hate that. Put your face to camera. Be brave. Be honest in your research. And if you're going to call someone a cunt, say it to the face with a glass of whiskey in your hand, which I'm very good at doing. If I think you're a cunt, I will tell you to your face. I'll tell you in an interview. I'll tell you at the end. I'll say, I think you're a cunt, but great interview. Bye. And that's what I'll say, because I don't give a shit.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Transfer your old ISA to Trading
Fucking
212 and start building wealth today.
If you want to follow Red Panda, so his channel's Red Panda Koala 2. That's where he does most of his live streams. He's got Red Panda Koala 1, 2, and 3. That's his live one, I think. The one I've just clicked on, that's the one he does his lives on. So we've got another few clips to go. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 clips to go through. And you shout me up. No, listen, I love everybody. I want more people to be, I want more UK people to be doing this. They need people with an attitude, people that's unorthodox. I got called the other day, I go in these private conversations, they call me unorthodox. They like me, they want to give me information because I don't fit the status quo and what these people are out there and stuff like that. So I am a bit different and I like being like that. Right, we're going to go to now. We're going to go to we'll go to this one. This one first.
Look at
You
think back on.
They're all different. There's so many gold standard cases. The ones I can talk about because people know about it, like the Nimitz incident.
Okay,
but there's others that were.
But the other ones, okay, platinum standard.
Yeah.
Because if you can talk about.
Do not be calling people God Squad. Everybody's welcome in this chat. I know you moderators. Do not ban anybody. If they're giving you shit, you highlight them. I will give them banter. And if they can't accept the banter, then I will block them. Nobody gets blocked. Respect everybody. I've made you moderators because you're loyal to me and stuff like that. You know who I am. You know my personality. You know that I can take arguments in the chat. If they're being offensive, if they're being racist, tell me straight away and I'll get rid of him. But other than that, they're allowed to be in here.
About the Nimitz and you consider that a gold standard. I mean, there's got to be something above that.
Yeah.
That
a lot.
And there's a lot.
Yeah.
In your mind, when you hear of a case or you see a case or you see a photo or a video floating around or whatnot, you have a Rolodex that you can compare it to.
Correct.
That you know for a fact is anomalous.
Right.
That is confirmed an anomaly.
Correct.
Are we going to see some of those cases in the near future?
281 people. I'm 20 away from 100 likes. Can we please get it to 100 likes? And I'll do a live one day, naked, fully naked.
That decision's not up to mine, but I certainly hope so. Let me give you an example without saying something specific.
Sure.
Okay. Let's say this coffee cup better yet, let's take a look at this water bottle. Let's say this is Earth, right?
Yep.
It's round, completely round.
Yep.
The way that gravity works is there are expected trajectories of things coming in and out of orbit. And especially if a satellite, let's say on retrograde, it comes in. That's how we know it's going to burn up over the Pacific Ocean. That's how we know at what time you can see the fireworks show in the sky, right? Of the rocket re-entering and burning up and the satellite and whatnot.
I don't want to keep stopping, but the chats, I go from the chat. So I apologize to people watching. You know, you can get back. But I don't mind people preaching, but don't preach and then preach after every fucking comment. Say your piece, sit, enjoy what you're watching, and just have you say. I don't mind people having to say, I really don't, because I know people want a channel to express themselves, and I've been that person. So I don't hate people that do that. I understand why they do that. Because you're going to go on Area 52 and for the live or anybody else that's live, they're not even going to look at your chat. They're not going to read your comments. They're not even going to give a shit. I actually do give a shit about the people, because without the people, I don't have a fucking channel. That's why I have a list here. And you won't see many content creators, regular lives, doing this kind. I think the only person that I would say that's on par is Polarity, and I love Polarity. And me and Polarity are going to hopefully do a collab soon and stuff like that. The good thing about me and Polarity, we're at different ends of the world. We don't crash. So when he's live, I'm in bed. When I'm live, he's in bed or wherever he's fucking staying these days. He's like a gypsy at the minute.
There's an expected path that things take. Even ICBMs and missiles. If we were to launch on Russia or Russia were to launch on us, there's a very predictable pattern because it's physics. What you wouldn't expect looking at this as the Earth is something, because most things come in come in as an arc.
Yep.
You wouldn't expect something going straight down and then popping straight back up, because the amount of energy required.
3 away from 100. Thank you so much. 327. Wow, I've seen people collabing the other day with 5 people and they only had 300 nodding. The fact that I'm on my own getting that amount with a small channel of 11.5. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you all. Again, let me add to this list. Drop them in the comments. I'll write them down. I'll get whatever you want on here. If you don't like this stream, I guarantee you'll like the next one or the one after that or the one after that. I will cater for everybody on my channel.
To do that is enormous.
Beyond our capability.
Well, certainly beyond our capability now.
Yeah.
And so when you see that and you have the data, and it's not just looking at it, it's hyperspectral data, and there's other ways to collect information besides the human eye. Remember, that's only 0.0036% of the spectrum, right? So that's a little narrow window. Let's get a big window here. Let's get all the data, baby. You know, give me all the frequencies, and I want to see everything. That's when you know you have something really special. because sometimes, they say seeing is believing, but your eyes can fool you. Look, you're a magician. I mean, this is your trade, mate. Sleight of hand, making something appear to be one thing when it's really something else. So we need more data.
Do you know, I'm going to say something now, and it's because I've had a drink, right? Lou Elizondo, Jay Stratton, and John B. Alexander. That's all I'm going to say.
Points.
It'll make sense very soon.
We need data to include beyond the visible spectrum, and that can tell you a lot. It can tell you heat, right? Things like infrared and what something is even made out of, because depending on the trail and the color, just like we look at a star and we can tell there's a planet around it. Why? Because we can tell actually the atmosphere of that planet and what it's composed of, because as light from that star travels through it and then eventually hits Earth in our eyes, we can say, oh, that planet's primarily nitrogen, or that planet's primarily hydrogen, that planet's composed of, methane, because the light behaves, it's absorbed.
People are asking questions now. Do you not like that? It's not I don't like them. I've got information. This is for entertainment purposes only. One of them is nicknamed Dr. Death. Yeah, I shouldn't drink and stream, really shouldn't. But yeah, there's certain gatekeepers and things like that, and things going on, and you hear things, and you've got certain things for good reasons. I have good connections, and because I'm unorthodox and I don't give a shit. But yeah, just pay attention to those names.
By the type of gas. And so when you see something coming in and out, and if there happens to be a trail on it, you can look at that and you can analyze, okay, this is what it's comprised of because of the color, because of the length, because of the heat, all sorts of different things. So without giving away specific capabilities here, hyperspectral technology can be very, very informative.
For the new people that are watching, the reason why the way I am is I put my 5 kids first. I put me first. I have no NDAs. I'm someone that's researched this for 27 years. I'm after answers. I'm not after sitting on information. I will sit on information if it's important. I am sitting on information, very important information that revolves children, to be honest with you. And it hurts me that I can't speak about that. It really does. But I know good things are happening in the background, and it's all going to come to light very, very soon, hopefully. My advice to you is, don't listen to what I've just said. Pay attention to what Ross Coulthard starts to speak about in the next week or two. And he alluded to it about a week ago when he did a little short video. I think it was with Megan Medic, I said there. About he's going to start telling the story about... he had a guest on, I can't remember his name, about the MK Ultra and all the experiments as a child and stuff. But he's going to start telling the story of more people. Pay attention to that. There's going to be a massive knock-on effect. Absolutely loved David Grush, by the way. I'm putting that out there. I've changed my opinion on Jake Barber, by the way. I thought he was someone that was just pissing about. Changed my mind on him, by the way, just for things I'm hearing and stuff like that. There's some good people that are working in the background and things. And I've never spoken to Jake Barber, just to put that. I've never spoken to David Grush, but I'm hearing things where people just can come back to this live at a later date and say, okay, we can trust what Matt's saying there. And I will clip this at some point and say I did tell you that those people can be trusted.
It can tell you a lot more than just simply seeing something on a camera. And so those are the ones that really get very compelling.
Especially when you also have footage. When you browse stuff and you're shown things online, are you ever just like meh because of what you've seen?
But that's not because it's not compelling. It's because I've been desensitized.
Because you've been desensitized.
I have, right. It's just like, a cop who comes across a crime scene and people are like, oh my God, that's horrific. It's like,
okay.
It's unfortunate because that's just the reality of us. It's just like anybody who watches shows and horror shows on movies. Someone might say, oh, I don't like watching horror. That's disgusting. Someone says, that's not really that bad. You get desensitized.
Yeah, it's like a magic trick. It's like knowing how a magic trick works. Yeah. And it's funny because I actually got to ask Bob Lazar that question. Okay. And he said, for the same reason, he said, it's exactly like a magic trick. Why doesn't the government talk about Bob Lazar?
Well, probably why they don't talk about me. I can imagine. We go against the grain. I've never met Mr. Lazar, to be honest with you, and for the record. So people say, "Well, what do you think of Lazar?" I don't. I have no way to judge. I've never met the gentleman. I think he's saying his truth, whatever that truth may be, just like I'm saying mine.
Sure.
But look, the government has spent a lot of time doing the same thing to me. When I first came out, they even denied that ATIP was real. They even denied that I was part of it, right? Like I think someone even accused, it wasn't even at the Pentagon. I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? I mean, there's my desk. There's a safe that's got all the stuff in it. So I suspect if he's enduring the same thing, it'd be for the same reasons that they try to obfuscate. There's a saying we have. First of all, you deny everything. You admit nothing, and then you make counter accusations, right? And so there is this spectrum of efforts that happen when there's an inconvenient conversation to have in the government. The first thing they do is they deny it, and then when they can't deny it anymore, they'll start trying to take away someone's credibility, like they do with Dave Groove. 24 hours of him coming out and this, by the way, is American hero. This guy, I know personally. I worked with him at Space Force. He is exactly who he is. We had the same briefings together. We saw the same UAP data, right? So he comes out and says the truth. And within 24 hours, 2 guys from CIA leak medical data and try to use his PTSD against him. Now, how disgusting is that, right?
Oh,
and totally, by the way, if I were to go ahead in the government and release someone's private data, I'd go to jail. That's HIPAA violation. That is also there's PII information there, personal identifiable information there. There's medical
It's getting doxed. Just going to pause a second, read through some of the comments because there's loads of people. If you're new to this channel, by the way, there's 404 people in. Drop a comment. I'd love to read your comment out and stuff like that if you've got something to say. Go cracking. Don't know what that means. 30 main stars of Draco constellation, 13 stars above Eagle and US coast, 13 arrows, 13 everything. A plurable units of many, one, the reunificate. I nearly had a stroke reading that, pal. Can you reword that? Moon Man. I used to hear that phrase all the time as a kid, and it often confused me because I could throw stones very good. Are you all drunk tonight like me? Because I'm having a stroke trying to read some of these comments. Throw it from inside your glass house, not standing up. So I think you're having a little talking there, aren't you?
By the government.
If you've got a question for me, put question, and then I'll read your question out.
Being doxxed by the government. Shame on you. And you wonder why people are pissed? You wonder why people like me do what I do?
Mm-hmm.
That's why. Because that, to me, you're getting to a point now in this conversation that is very near and dear to my heart. And I want to share something with you. A lot of people know, in my book, I talk about my mother passing away. And no, I'm not plugging the book. That's not why I'm here. I'm just simply saying that people know that because I was forthcoming about it. What some people may not know, and I only just started talking about it, was the death of my father. My father was a revolutionary in Cuba. He was part of the Bay of Pigs. In fact, if you type in my name and type in the word Bay of Pigs, you'll see his prisoner number. And he was a tortured and tormented soul because of it. But in his later years, he became very introspective. And so about a month before he passed away 2 years ago on Father's Day, I had the opportunity. I knew he was dying, but he wouldn't tell me. But I could tell he was dying, and I knew my time was limited. So he came out to visit me, and we had an opportunity to take a road trip together. So we're going to drive back down to South Florida together. And about halfway through the trip, I asked him a question, and I look back and I feel kind of guilty about it because I was kind of flippant, not expecting the answer that I got. And I said, Dad, what is the greatest threat to humanity? Now I'm thinking to myself, is it a natural calamity, an earthquake? Is it a nuclear war? Is it a biological pandemic, like COVID was? And he looks at me and he says, thought about it for a second, he says, corruption. I said, corruption? I said, like financial corruption? He says, no, son.
I'm just playing the chapter which is called What's to Come in 2027. So it's a few minutes, this one. So we'll play this one and we'll go on to the next clip.
Corruption.
What I try and do with this live is the people like Lou and all these other people like Ross that have spoke about this, but also the spiritual side of it as well, which people have been asking for, like Bashar, which I've got another clip of that. I've got Dolores, which we'll probably end on. Just bring it all together. That it's not just tinfoil hat fucking military people that are saying this. It's everyday normal people that are saying this as well, and people that are having these messages, or they can what's it called, psychics, and an alien can take over the body and they can speak apparently. Again, I'm very skeptical, but I'm more open-minded to it these days, and I think that's important, and I think it's good for the audience that I start doing content like this as well.
Corruption in any form is the act of trading away one of your core values in exchange for something else. And whether it's religious corruption, moral corruption, governmental corruption, if you have corruption in government, then what winds up happening is you wind up chipping away, eroding the very foundation of a democracy. And when that occurs, it's a very, very quick and slippery slope down to total tyranny. And it's something my father actually had direct experience in. And so when you have in the government corruption and people making decisions that they don't have the authority to make for reasons that they don't have the authority to even consider, and doing things like they did to Dave Grush and myself and other people, that's a problem. Because now the entire democracy is at risk. This is not just, hey, the government trying to insulate us. Hey, man, you're now going beyond the Constitution here, which is something we all agree with. And you're telling me now the Constitution doesn't matter and that I have to play by the rules and you don't. Hey, buddy, I don't know if you remember, but 1776 happened, you know.
Claire, calm down. Stop having to go at people in the chat. Don't let that moderation get to your fucking head, right? Let him preach. What you can do is, what I do, ignore it. Let him put what he wants to put in there. You just bite into it. You're reading it. Just let it go. Don't make me put you in a fucking 10-second timeout, because I will fucking do it, Claire.
People have a vote, and if you think that they're going to sit here and tolerate corruption, you know, there's an old saying from Bob Marley: you can fool some people sometimes, but you can't fool all the people all the time. And if you think you're going to do that, brother, that's not the government I signed up for. That's not the Constitution I signed up for. I didn't go to war to allow you to do that, because now.
B.A. Crisp is in the chat. She's the author of the Redbird and put your book things in there, actually, B.A. Crisp. She's also on TikTok now as well. B.A. Crisp, please give her a follow. She's the person that gave me the text message that went viral with Bigelow and stuff like that. And that has not been debunked. That is a real legitimate thing, which that would cause mayhem, I think, if that was tried, if someone came out and said that was bullshit. But yeah, please give B.A. Crisp some love on social media and stuff like that. And I know Phoenix, you're in the chat. You bought BA's books, haven't you? So if you want to chat to her there, you can go for that.
Don't look now, but you're the enemy, right?
Yep.
And they have hijacked what the values of our country are, and they're making decisions they don't have the authority to make, right? When they're not informing Congress, they're not informing the president, and they're lying. That's a problem. I don't care what you can justify it all day long. I don't give a crap what your answer is. It's still wrong. There are laws and things you have to abide by. And so when you see that action of people trying to defame somebody, that is egregious. And to me, look out, because you're now going into a territory here, into some very dangerous waters that you're doing things that are against the very ethos of what it means to be a free society. And you don't have that permission. And by the way, I went to war for it before. Don't think I'll do it again. That's, our Congress and our executive branch deserves better. And if you are some mid-level bureaucrat making decisions on behalf of the president and Congress for which you're not allowed to make, watch out, baby. You're going to have some serious explaining to do, as we like to say.
Yeah. And
Scaly. Thank you, Alien Girl. I know you've gone through a lot of shit recently with people out, sort of it's not giving you the time of day, but me and you are going to collab soon. Put your YouTube channel in the chat, please. I would like people to give you a follow, because you are a genuine person and we need more people like you.
Your marketing with Base 44 super agents. No setup time.
And rightfully so. I think the pursuit of that, and especially in defense of people who have given up something for the freedom of people.
I don't mind people putting the YouTube channels in the chat. All you've got to do is put your handle and put what you actually cover, as long as it's to do with UFO stuff. If it's something like fucking motorbikes, don't do it. But if you cover a different aspect of what we're discussing, put your handle and what it is. I absolutely have no problem with that.
people and the freedom of choice that people have. You know, I think it should be valued and protected and upheld to a standard that I think most people should be on board with. I think that just goes without saying. It's egregious, like you said. I mean, I'm going to have to ask 2027.
No, I don't know why people keep saying 2027.
Listen.
People are like, oh, Lou said 2020. No, I never said 2027. Stop,
Okay.
guys. I never said.
Yes, you did. Stop talking shit. Oh, fucking. He reminds me of Shiv, him that's in the chat. Talk shit. He did say that. And then he said it a few times, but then he says, I didn't mean it that way. I meant it this way. And fuck off. Fuck off. I'd love to interview him. Come to my house and let me sit in my fucking kitchen and talk to you.
Fuck off. You know what happens is people in the internet have got way too much time on their hands. They will clip together interviews I have to create.
What I find funny is the world's going to end in 2027, but he buys a fucking bar, so he's planning for the future. It can't be that bad then, can it?
The false narrative.
Okay, so let me know. Then what is it? Is it Bledsoe has a hard date, by the way. He says Easter Sunday 2026 is like his date. I've heard people say 2025 is when we begin this, whatever. And like it's obviously the goalpost is going to shift depending on what's been said. Recently, Jeremy Corbell in his special, in his 3-part special, at the end of it said that the government was intending on having some mass sighting or like a giant mothership come in and that, this is going to happen. And then 2027's been thrown around. Can you, for everyone's sanity,
yeah, sure,
shed a little bit of light on this just so we can stop being paranoid, or we can start, being paranoid?
Let me see if I can thread the needle on this.
Sure. Take your time.
I know a lot of people, this is nothing new. There's entire room.
How I interpret that. Let me see how I can twist this and talk absolute bullshit to you on your channel, Area 52.
Religions that plan for doomsday, right? The end of the world's coming. Then you have, then it's Y2K, and then, it's the end of the Aztec calendar, right? And, it's now, there is some speculation, and I won't say specifics, that there may be something in later on, but the problem is I wouldn't go to the bank with it, and what the specifics are, because it's first of all, it's hearsay, and it's also yes, there was an official effort by some people in the government to actually look at this data, and there were some products produced. That's a fact. I won't go into more detail than that, but it wasn't 2027.
Okay.
And it was based upon certain observations. And again, I'm very careful because what I don't want to do is people are going to take this, they're going to hang on to these words and say, Lou said something's coming. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that there were some people who were anticipating something happening. And it was officially considered by some people based upon certain things. And a product was written. Anything beyond that, I don't want to discuss, because I think what happens is people take that and they take it to the bank.
Sure.
And that's very dangerous.
You don't want to give any credence to something that could be untrue.
Right. I mean, look, anything can happen, right? A tornado could hit your studio in 10 minutes from now. It could. It probably won't, but it could, right? So we have to be very careful. There's no such thing as absolutes.
But it's when you say something was observed that people's ears tend to perk up.
Yeah. I mean, I can't go into more detail than that, because first of all, I didn't collect the data. I wasn't part of that effort. And thirdly, that's not really for me to discuss, but I don't think people need to be, Panic at the Disco and, oh my God, we've been down this road many times before. Let's stop speculating. Let's stick to what we know. And if it turns out that there's a revelation based upon of us all working together on this, and fine, maybe it is what it is, but we need to make sure we don't do ourselves the injustice by predicting and predicating things. I think that's a dangerous move. And I think unless the government comes out and says something, hey, you need to pay attention to this, then we probably should focus on other things.
I mean, and most people would probably agree with me, but if the government did say that, we might be questioning why they said that.
Right, sure.
And that leads me to another question. Do you rule out the idea that you might be being used to further some type of governmental agenda?
Always. always you have to consider that.
Yeah.
I don't think
we've got a couple of minutes left of this clip. Will be linked in the description if you've not seen this. It's a 2-hour and 48-minute interview. This.
I have rocked the boat sufficiently that, and I've made decisions that, if that was the case, I don't think they would have anticipated. So it probably made their life very, very difficult. If I was supposed to be on some sort of agenda, I think I probably strayed from that agenda a long time ago.
But what if this I say 2027, but what if this future revelation is...
While there's about 400 people in, just put a 1 if you like Lou Elizondo and you believe him, and put a 2 if you think there's something suspicious about Lou Elizondo and you don't trust him.
Something like that.
Then it happens.
You know, that you're not immune to that, is what you're saying. Is that like that might be? Yeah.
Sure. Look, you don't know what you don't know, right?
That's right.
How do you know what you don't know? So is it possible there's some sort of master scheme there to manipulate Lou Elizondo and a few other insiders to get our message across? It is, but I'm also familiar with those techniques, and I think I would be able to see at least one telltale sign. No one's that good where you can keep the secret forever. I mean, you really, it would be really, really hard to do.
Have you ever had disinfo come across your desk?
Not at the Pentagon. No, well, foreign disinformation, sure. Yeah, that happens a lot. But actual disinformation on the UAP topic, not at all. No.
Not at all.
No, in fact, nobody wanted to talk about it.
Right.
So, you're not going to get disinformation is usually when people are at least talking about something and you want to affect a decision. But when no one's talking about it,
But you're aware of projects. Are you aware of projects of the UAP narrative being slightly obscured?
Look, they did in the 70s. Look, Air Force OSI penetrated civilian organizations, in violation of DOD 5240.1 and other rules and regulations, possibly Executive Order 12333, and conducted intelligence operations and propaganda and manipulation against the American people. By the way, what happened 2 days ago? A document came out from the CIA.
Okay, I've just put a poll up. Please put your answers in the poll. Let's see what people think of Lou Elizondo just in this live.
Proposing it's okay to kill Americans if we want to go ahead and predicate a war and have an excuse to have a war with Cuba and an invasion. Now think about that for a minute. Wait. Who the hell are you to propose killing American citizens for a political agenda? Dude, that's worthy of a coup, man. Well, that's not American values. Don't look now, but you've now become the enemy that we all hate. You don't have the right to do that. And this is what fires me up. There have been some people who have made suggestions to conduct illegal activities to cover this topic up. And it's going to come out. It's going to come out in a few months. Man, just telling you, because I was victim to some of it when the American people find out the lengths that some people in the government are willing to go to keep something secret, it's gonna blow your mind.
Scary.
Yeah, and it's disappointing. I never thought my people. I won't say my government because I don't think it's reflective of the government. I think it's people in the government. Let's not forget, government is made up of people, right? And there are some good people and there are some bad people. And that old saying, "Absolute power corrupts absolutely." Maybe that's what we're dealing with. And so I want to make careful that I'm not accusing the government. I'm not labeling the government or mad at the government. What I'm mad at are those rogue elements inside our government that are making decisions that are not in the best interest of the American people, and frankly that
we're nearly at the end of this chapter, and we'll get on to the next clip.
Are against our Constitution. That is what motivates me to continue doing what I'm doing. And if I have to pay the ultimate price for it, then so be it. I knew that a while ago. Like I've told people, the only thing that's going to stop me is a bullet in the head, or maybe I got hit by a bus, or a car accident, right?
Which isn't going to happen. Do you know why? Because you're part of it, and you're part of the gatekeeping and stuff like that. That's just my opinion, for entertainment purposes only.
Which has happened in the past. But I have to pursue the truth, and I think any real patriot who served time serving their country feels the same way. At the end of the day, we owe it to the American people. We owe it to our government. There's no excuse why a president wouldn't be briefed on.
Just want to give a shout out to all 437 of you. Thank you so much for supporting the lad from Manchester. I appreciate you so much. Like I said, drop a comment in if you want me to cover a live stream of some person that you want me to do. There's a list here, and I'm already on the back page. And also, B.A. Crisps, I do want to interview her, which is the author of the Red Bird and the Quantum, I can't remember what the second fucking word, Quantum Consciousness, is it, or something like that? And she's obviously or was a friend, or is a friend, or that knows Bigelow, and I think we could have a really good chat on Tibetan Bon and the Buddhism side of things, which was mentioned by David Icke in Area 52, and I think I could get a really good bit of information from B.A. Crisps on that, because I'll be honest with you, I have absolutely no idea. I won't know how to even ask her questions on that. I think it's a part of me just saying, hi B.A., talk to me, and she can go through her knowledge on certain things and her own experiences as a child. Her book, I don't know if she's okay with me telling you, I'm going to say it anyway. A book is about her childhood experience. So that's why I think you should take a look at Red Bird. It's very interesting. And the reason I got onto that was because of Disclosure Day trailer. It was had a lot of connections from what I seen from her Red Bird book. That's how I got speaking to B.A. Crisps.
On something. There's no excuse why oversight committees in our Congress can't be briefed to something. And that's exactly what's happened. And that's a problem. And that's not a reflection of the guts. You can't say that's the government's fault. No, that's people in the government. It's their fault. And there's some people that will go to great lengths to keep information quiet.
And it's not just the people in the government, because what we've seen, I think, more frequently and more rampantly is these people who are working with the government.
Oh, yeah.
And
proxies and the media. Some elements even in the media.
In the media. I think those tend to be a little bit more dangerous.
Well, we saw this right before this last election, right? I mean, there were people in the media who knowingly lied about people.
Mm-hmm.
We just had a landmark case against one of our major networks here where there was a veteran where they tried to slander and lie.
That's the end of that clip, but I can see a comment there. Tomorrow, it's always tomorrow. I'm totally with you on that. It's always been... I'm old enough to remember the year 2000, planes were going to fall from the sky because the number was going to go from 1999, all computers were going to crash. Then there was the 2012 one, the Mayan calendar. Then they said, oh, we got that wrong, it's going to be in the 2020s and stuff like that. There is some tapes that I want from my granddad, who was a spiritualist, and my granddad used to tell me that a lot of this was... interdimensional stuff, and at the time I wasn't buying it. I just wish my granddad was still alive. He died just before COVID hit, and he was 90 odd years old. He had a wealth of knowledge, and he's got a lot of tapes which I need to get my hands on, which my auntie Karen has, and one of them is about Earth and about it's like a link of planets, and we are one of the weakest ones and stuff like that, and it's spoken through channeling and stuff like that, and I wish what I knew now, then, so I could actually have these discussions with my granddad. You know, sometimes you wish you could go and have that conversation. I missed out. Pretty sad. So we're going to go to the next clip. So again, this live is run by you. You wanted Bashar, which we're going to share more clips of now. I'm Dolores Cannon, and I'm sharing some of the recent stuff. I'm trying to bring it all together for you. This is another Lou one. We'll play this another Lou one for you. Let's go for this one.
I do. I remember that, Glenn. I sure do.
So what did you mean by that?
Well, look, in the world of national security, the clock is always ticking. What do I mean by that? Well, you know, there are foreign adversaries out there that are very much involved in the research of UAP like we are, just like our country.
Okay. So do you trust Lou? You put no 31%, yes 25%. I trust you, Matt, and Whiskey more 44%. So there we go then. You do not go to them people. You go to me, Matt, UFOs Around the World, for your information on Whiskey.
And what you don't want to do is allow ourselves to get to a point of what we call strategic surprise, right? All of a sudden you have country X or country Y out there that may not necessarily be friendly to the U.S., and all of a sudden they find they have a breakthrough, right? So China has already admitted they have their own UAP program, so does Russia. And what we don't want to do is allow ourselves to fall behind some of our adversaries' capabilities. Now, there's also another part of that conversation, too. What you don't want to do is allow so much time to go by that by the time you are forced to make a decision, all your options you've exhausted. Meaning, let's say that there is an announcement, let's say later this year that.
So Shiv, who's a good friend of mine, by the way, and I take the piss out of him for good reason because he's not as clued up as me. So MUFG has Greer in his phone book, by the way, right? I've not got Greer in my phone book. I've got a few other names, but not got Greer. But my concern with Stephen Greer is he teamed up with Third Phase of the Moon, and we all know, if you've researched this for many decades, third phase of the moon used to take the piss and ridicule the UFO topic. Why did Stephen Greer team up with them, the cousins?
Life has been discovered somewhere else off of Earth, right? You don't want to be in a situation as a government where you are caught flat-footed and surprised, right? And by that statement, you want to be as proactive as possible. You want to be able to have the conversation, socialize the idea with your citizens, because let's face it, governments writ large are the reason why they have the authority they do is because people have faith and confidence in those institutions, in those governments. And the last place any government wants to be is on their back foot, right? In a situation where they get surprised. And now, like we saw, for example, with the drone incursions that we had back in 2024 up in New Jersey, right? First, the White House says there's nothing to see here, folks. And they say, well, actually, there is something to see here. Well, actually, all of these drones have been coordinated through the FAA. Well, no, they haven't. We don't even know if they're drones at this point. Or the Chinese spy balloon, right, under the Biden administration. That's another case in point where decisions were made on our behalf because we simply didn't want to face the uncomfortable truth that China was sending reconnaissance balloons over North America completely unchallenged.
So you started this out with imagine country X or Y. So are you saying that we're possibly facing something from another country?
Well, I think all is possible. All cards have to remain on the table until they're not. I think there is enough information to suggest that other countries are heavily invested in this topic. But keep in mind, we've been dealing with this now for decades. And when I say decades, at least 8 decades. That's 80 years. We've been dealing with this phenomenon. And if you look 80 years ago, where was Russia? Well, the United States had just entered the atomic age. We had barely broken the sound barrier. No one has been into space. And that means some country secretly was developing this technology and was able to perfect it 8 decades ago. So that doesn't make sense, right? If that was the case, this would be considered the worst intelligence failure in the history of our nation, eclipsing that of even 9/11, because that means for 80 years, some country in secret has been developing this technology and, oh, by the way, has been able to deploy it over controlled U.S. airspace, over our sensitive military facilities, and there's not a darn thing we can do about it. So when you look back at this from a temporal aspect or a time aspect, it simply doesn't make sense that all of this,
So my daughter, she's 12 years old, she's watching my live in her bedroom, and she's put, Dad, I voted, I trust you on whiskey. If everybody could just give a shout out to my daughter Daisy in the chat, that would mean a lot to my daughter Daisy.
we're seeing is Russian or Chinese. It doesn't pass the smell test.
You're not the only one that said this. 2027 keeps coming up, and you just said later this year or in 2027. Why is 2027 the year that everybody keeps throwing around? Because it doesn't seem random to me.
Well,
Everybody seems to be saying
heard,
2027.
Yeah, I've heard 2027. I also heard 2036. The capacity in which I heard it, I'd rather not get into. I heard it when I was working with U.S. Space Force, but it was to me it seemed more anecdotal. So I'm probably not best suited to answer that time wise, simply because I didn't come up with that time frame. Okay. But I, like you, I heard that as well, and certainly something we need to pay attention to.
So, the Laura Trump just came out and said there's a speech for the president to give, and he's prepared to give it at some point. Is that a speech? Do you think she's referring to a speech that that every president has had, or is this something that is prepared for this time, do you think?
I think it's probably something prepared for this time, simply because a lot of presidents were kept in the dark on this topic for a very long time, and I don't think they took it seriously. Certainly this president, during his first term, initially when he was asked, kind of laughed it off, and then later, from my understanding, he received some briefings and then took it quite seriously afterwards. But look, it's a very risky topic. Any president that makes a public statement about this topic runs a huge risk, simply because there's a lot of unknowns, and it has never really been good for one's career necessarily, or even the media, up until recently, to even cover this topic, because the amount of stigma and taboo that have been associated, purposefully, by the way, on this topic, on purpose. Our own government created this taboo unnecessarily, to give it the flexibility to actually do research. A lot of people are surprised when they find out that ATIP was actually a program in the Pentagon that was studying UFOs. That's what my colleagues and I were told to do. And you said it absolutely correct. I was never a quote-unquote believer. I went through the medical program at University of Miami, and technically I graduated in microbiology and immunology. So the scientific method for me is very important. Also, as an intelligence officer, you have to let the facts speak for themselves. However, with that said, there comes a point where you have so much overwhelming evidence, and you have some of the most sophisticated capabilities, technologically speaking, in the intelligence community, that normally can identify the difference between an F-16 and, let's say, a MiG-25 from 25 miles away. These same sensor systems are being used to collect information on things that, frankly, we don't understand. Technologically speaking, these things can outperform anything we have in our inventory, and that is a national security issue. And I believe that our president has been made aware of that, and not just by the Department of War either. There's other elements, the FBI, the intelligence community, even the Department of Energy, that all have equity in this topic.
Men don't doom scroll, masturbate, drink, and smoke because they're lazy. They do it because they're overstimulated.
One of my researchers said the reason why the government is so afraid of all of this coming out is because if there is technology that we got from someplace else, and it was shared with certain companies, then other companies will start suing and saying, well, I didn't get any of that. That's an unfair advantage. Do you think there's anything to that?
Yeah,
Fear?
That's absolutely correct. Yeah, absolutely. Look, there's back, with the military-industrial complex, there's still rules and laws that have to be followed, and you have to have free and fair competition. That is how this system works. And if it turns out that maybe some general somewhere in the halls of the Pentagon gave a company an unfair advantage, you can imagine in 10 years, 20 years, company A becomes a multi-billion-dollar aerospace company.
I say, if you've not seen my interview with Brad the Ark I did about 2 weeks ago, he said something about something's going to open up in August this year in Egypt. Now, what we're seeing with there's apparently going to be they found a second Sphinx. And he said that the timeline, what Bledsoe said, which was April, which he's revised as being, people saying October, but apparently it's August. Something's going to open up in Egypt. And if you've not seen that interview, go to a couple of weeks ago. It's on there, Brad the Ark, the simulation. And something big's going to happen in Egypt in 2026 this year.
Where company B goes bankrupt.
He's a DMT, I can't say expert because he's taken it many times and he knows about DMT and stuff like that. And he also a group of people were told in the DMT world to go to Mount Shasta. So in the interview he says they all went to Mount Shasta, not on DMT. They went there and they got all these visions that appeared around Mount Shasta of the past and stuff like that. Not on DMT, just normal people seeing it, and they all witnessed it. Honestly, it's a great interview, really is. It needs to have a lot more views on that.
200 jobs are lost, and investors, lose their investment, right? So there's Securities Exchange Commission violations. I mean, you could, in theory, rack up not just billions, but trillions of dollars worth of liability and damages. So that is a very real issue. That is absolutely correct.
One last thing. You were on the podcast with me, and you talked about a spiritual element of all of this. That I think you said you walked into a meeting, and the scientists were talking about something spiritual, and we didn't really get into it. Can you share that again?
Sure. Well, let me just say this, Glenn, if I can. I think ultimately the human experience is a spiritual experience. There's no way around it. A lot of people say that we're humans having a spiritual experience. I tend to think we are spiritual beings having a human experience. But that aside,
agree.
There were elements in the Pentagon that believe.
I agree with that. And thank you so much, AJ Raffles, for the £5 super chat. That goes towards my C-Star telescope, which I want to add to my live stream so I can do the moon lives and all that kind of stuff. So thank you so much. I appreciate every single penny that gets donated in super chats. I really do. I know times are hard at the minute. I'm a family man. I work 5-6 days a week, so I'm totally behind people and totally support people that support me like that. Thank you so much, AJ. What I was going to say then, I'd like to ask if BA is still in the chat, BA Crisps. He's just said that he thinks we're spiritual beings in a human form experiencing this. Do you agree with that? Because you know a lot about the Tibetan born and all that. I think you're there. So if you want to drop something in the chat there, that'd help.
Believe that what we were looking into were actually demons. And there were some fundamentalists that believed that this was all the work of so to speak, the devil. Now, I can't, between you and...
So just drop a comment. Do you agree with Lou Elizondo with that we are spiritual beings and we're experiencing something here? Is it like a simulation? If we are experiencing something here, that would fit into the simulation. We understand simulation. I've got a virtual reality headset. I know what a simulation is there and stuff like that. But if it's more advanced and we're getting to the stage where we can create incredible things in virtual reality. I want to create a virtual reality UFO world where we can have discussions and I can invite guests up and speak in the virtual world, and it's limitless on how many people can join that and stuff like that. I want to be the first person that does that, and I'm working with someone in the background to try and do that. Really, because I have no idea. I've got the idea, but I've got all the gear but no idea how to do that. So I'm trying to reach out to people and give them, listen, this is the idea I want to do. It could be fucking huge. How many people, if you had a VR headset, which will be common in the next 5 years for people to have that, will put that on and go into a virtual reality world and have these discussions where you can bring up these chats, get people like James Fox up, get people like all these guests up and stuff like that, but have it in like a room in the virtual world. That's where we're going. That's the future of the UFO community, I think. Maybe we'll get disclosure by then, hopefully, but you know.
And me and I guess now everybody else, I can't necessarily fault them for thinking that, because if that is their spiritual perspective, then I can understand it. And there are elements certainly within.
Well, Patrick Jackson, I've interviewed Patrick Jackson because when he shared me that, and I thought, well, I've interviewed him. He interviewed one of the things. He's actually not far from me. He told me about an area in Manchester where he can summon these things, and hopefully, potentially, if I've got time, I'll meet him April the 3rd, April the 4th. Next week or something like that, because he's meeting UAP Lee. But I can't, because I'm a family man and I work full time. This isn't my full time job. This is a hobby that I've brought onto social media and stuff like that. I can't always give my time to people and stuff like that, and I'm never gonna choose this over my family. My family come first. This is always last to me.
This topic that may scare some people. But I don't know that to be true.
Like, can you tell me,
Sure. Yeah, there were people in the Pentagon that believe that UFOs. They not only did they say they were real, they actually told me to my face and my colleagues, but that we shouldn't be looking into them because they are demons. They're demonic. They are. We know exactly what they are. And again, some of these people were very, very senior in the intelligence community. Some of them were friends of mine. And although
from what I'm told in the background about certain people, what he's saying now, I would not believe. I would not believe any of this. Or I'd be worried about why this has been pushed out there. And the fact JD Vance has said this worries me even more. Well, a lot more.
I don't agree with their perspective. Look, at the end of the day, I can't prove that they're wrong either. So I respect it. I don't agree with it, but I can respect that fear that this topic brings, because.
Do you have any idea why they would say something like that?
Well, what was told to me point blank was, Lou, have you read your Bible lately? And I said, well, I thought I was, pretty familiar with it. Why? And he said, well, then you would know, because what we're dealing with are demons and we shouldn't be looking into them. And that was the extent of that conversation I had with a senior leader in the U.S. government.
Okay, I've had a whiskey, so I'm going to go into some of the shit I've been told in the background. Okay, fuck it, man. Fuck it. I'm not signing any NDAs. Fuck it. I'm not going to give any sources away. Things are going to get played out over the next year and two, and it's going to be played out as a religious war. Things are going to show up after that, and the media are going to push it as demonic and stuff like that. And we're hearing this here with Lou Elizondo. We're hearing it here with JD Vance, and with what we're seeing in the Middle East right now, and what the US soldiers are being told as this has been a bit called a biblical, like, Armageddon war, and the disbandment of NATO. We're seeing it. We're seeing it in real time, and we're seeing it a few months, 6-7 months well, since presidency of Trump, he's been attacking NATO. NATO aren't doing this much money. They aren't putting this in. They aren't doing this. They aren't supporting us. He's even going against the biggest ally of the United States, which is the UK, because they're not involved with this. Or a lot of the European countries, the NATO countries, aren't involved in the fucking gatekeeping of whatever they're trying to play out. So this is what concerns me with the Seoul Foundation, the Seoul Disclosure Plan, when it says the Five Eyes Alliance is the acceptance that really concerns me. And it wouldn't be beyond the realms of possibility for the UK to play along with this, to look like they are going against the United States, and Australia recently to say like they're going against the United States, for them to eventually be the ones that end up siding with the United States after everything's come about and Europe's been fucking destroyed. Remember, Five Eyes Alliance countries, none of them are landlocked. None of them are part of that. So just a little bit there. I won't never give sources away.
But there were others as well who felt the same way. There's a lot of people that also can point to the Bible, and they'll talk about Ezekiel's wheel, right, as being actually an interpretation of an encounter with a UAP. So I spent some time at the Vatican, and I'll share this. That was kind of interesting, and I'll make it quick. There they opened a scroll. It was a very old parchment. It was in Latin, and one of the senior academics there at the Vatican said, "Look here, read this part." And it talked about eclipus. Eclipus is a Latin word for, like, think of eclipse, and it was the word they were using for the Roman shields, because the Roman shields were round and lenticular, and they looked, I guess, like suns. And he said, here it is, and this was a discussion between a Roman soldier and a Roman general, where they described these flaming Roman shields in the sky that would follow them from battle space to battle space, and so. You know, this is going way back, and this is a document that's in the possession of the Vatican itself. So the Vatican has also had a deep interest in this topic.
Just want to shout out to the 100 new subscribers that I've got from this live. I can't name you all, but thank you so much for joining the Manchester lad from the UK, who's just after the truth, just like you. And all my lives are around you lot. And again, just for people that might not have seen it, there's a list there, and I'm already on the second page here at the back. If you've got anything you want me to cover live, doesn't matter what, as long as it's around the UFO topic, can be spiritual side of it as well, please drop it down in the comments. Someone will pin it for me, and I will put it on the list, and we'll get around to it.
The last Pope actually said, I believe, several years ago, that we should not be surprised that life exists and is abundant in the universe. That God has the ability to create as many species as He wants, and it doesn't necessarily mean that we are any less special.
Lou, it's always fascinating to talk to you. We'll keep watching. Thank you so much.
All right, Glenn. My honor and privilege. Thank you so much.
You bet. Former Pentagon UAP official, the guy who led the search here recently. A lot of the breaking news comes from him, Lou Elizondo.
Thank you for thinking for yourself.
So that channel was Blaze TV. It's got 2.2 million followers. And that was posted 1 month ago, that one. So we're going to go on to the next clip now. I'm enjoying this live. I hope you're enjoying it too. We're going through different aspects of things. We've got Dolores Cannon. What's this one? Don't think we need. Not that one. We're going to play. I don't know who this lady is. I like to, again, I'm trying to cover all aspects. So I don't know who this lady is. but it was from the channel Wisdom from the North and Johnny Party, and it's unfiltered. Top astrologer predicts earth-shaking events in 2026, alien disclosure and political shock. I've got to be fair, I've got to be unbiased, and I've got to cover this.
They zoom in to stop. And actually, they came zooming in right after World War II when we used the nuclear bomb. And they came in. That they need to really help us because, you know, it's been known that where there's been nuclear sites and testing, they zoom in to stop. And actually, they came zooming in right after World War II when we used the nuclear bomb. And they came in to see what in the heck we're doing because that puts vibrations all the way out into the universe. And they have to
totally get that. If you drop a nuclear bomb and there's other entities around in different dimensions, it's going to reverberate through all that, right? Surely. Thank you, Banded Steel 1739 for becoming a member, and Spock level as well. Spock. And I'll tell you a little interesting fact. When I was born, my dad was a Star Trek fan, and he named me Leonard after Spock, Leonard Nimoy. And on my wristband it had Leonard. But my mum was in bed, and she'd just given birth to me, gone through all the agonising pain on Mother's Day, the 9th of March 1986, which was a Mother's Day. And next to the bed was Mark, Luke and John. So she named me Matthew, after Matthew, Mark, Luke and John. So I was the thingy for that. So that's how I got the name Matthew, but my dad wanted to call me Leonard, after Leonard Nimoy Spock. So you could be listening to Lenny now, not Matty. How about that? There's a little story for you. Thank you so much for your membership. You are appreciated, bro.
To help us.
Or a female. I don't know if you're male or female. It's hard to tell with the usernames. Sometimes I say I'm thinking it's a man. It's like, I'm female. I'm like, well, I don't know. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
From destroying ourselves. And that's what I think they're here for. And this is going to come out. And we need the help because look at the anger and the hostility that's out there among humankind. It's not right. And something needs to change. This is the year it's going to change. It has to. July is an opening. Let me explain astrologically what I see happening in the month of July. It's amazing. I've never seen this before, ever. And all three of the outer planets, which typically have not been used in Vedic astrology, they don't use the ones that are not visible to the naked eye. But I've always used them because I started with Western astrology. But what I've discovered with them, and the reason why the ancients didn't necessarily use them, is because they deal more with the collective unconsciousness. But they do direct our consciousness as a whole of humanity. They're huge with prediction. Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. And certain generations are who they are based on where these outer planets are in their chart, because Uranus is in a sign for 7 years. That creates generations. And Neptune is in a sign for 12 years. That creates a whole different way of thinking in generations. Pluto is in a sign for, well, because of its elliptical orbit, it can be anywhere from 12 years to 30 years. And currently, where it's at right now, in Capricorn, sidereally, it's there for 20 years. So you know that this creates generations of people that come from the same idea, way of being. And that's why we have certain generations that are who they are because of the outer planets. Now, where I'm going with this is by the month of July, and this is happening currently as well, they're lining up by July 22nd. All three outer planets will be the same degree, 10 degrees. Okay, Neptune will be 10 degrees of Pisces, Uranus will be 10 degrees of Taurus, and Jupiter on that day will be 10 degrees of Cancer, and Pluto, exactly opposite, is 10 degrees of Capricorn.
fellow Mank Bandysteel. You're from Manchester. Thank you so much. I love people that are from the UK that follow me as well, because we need more UK people, because it's such a taboo topic in the UK. It's not as open as it is in the United States and the rest of the world. The UK are the best at keeping the secrets. We've got some of the most secretive things, like Rendlesham Forest incident, and we've got the Pentuck one. If you've not heard about the Pentuck incident, we're going to get Kaz on soon, Kaz Clark. We'll get an interview. We'll do it live, actually, so we can actually have people asking questions to Kaz. Maybe it's a group thing and stuff like that. It just depends how the lives go, whoever to do it live and stuff like that. I'm still hopefully trying to get James Fox on soon as well. He's keen to chat. He's just very busy and stuff like that. So, and if you've not seen my recent interviews and stuff, I've got Richard Doty, I've got John Stewart, I've got Simon Holland, I've got Patrick Jackson, I've got Brad the Ark, I've got someone that claims to be from the Anunnaki. Please check that playlist. I do want to create a playlist of your experiences. So if you've had an experience, send me a video, just talk. That's all I want you to do, talk and tell me your experience. I'll upload it separately to a playlist of your experiences, which hopefully then will promote more people to then come forward and speak about it. That's what we want. We want a channel where people will get listened to and they've got somewhere to go. I'm going to share this video to UFOs around the world. He's going to upload it separately. I'm going to give it a nice thumbnail, whatever you want on it, and upload it, and that's your story. I don't care if it's 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Just send me your videos. UFOs around the world brand@gmail.com.
So with this lineup all at 10 degrees, this means a cosmic opening of consciousness. And all of us have a choice to choose this. Now, I think another thing that this is going to...
I don't mind capital letters, but if it's a question, put at UFOs around the world question, and I'll read your questions out on the live.
Be about is the realization of the aliens. Now, another thing is we're going to have self-driving cars. It's going to be very evident. AI is going to be so advanced so quickly.
For the first time in modern history, college student graduates.
My email, I'll put in the chat now, 1 second. UFOs around the world brand@gmail.com. So the purpose of my playlist, right, I'll put it there for you, I'll pin it for you, is for you not to share videos. You can share a video in it if you want, but the purpose is to actually see your face and for you to be confident that you're talking about your experience. You get these Area 52 and you've got vetted that they'll do phone-ins and they'll share the phone-in. I don't want that. I want to do something different. I want people to be fronting it, because it promotes people to speak more if they see a face. And I know that I grew a massive TikTok channel from putting my face to camera. Those haters become lovers. They don't become... they started off as trolls in my workplace and everything like that. Then when they realise that, people actually like what you're talking about, they'll share their own experiences and stuff like that. So that's what I'm trying to promote on my channel. So there will be a playlist. It's going to be titled Your Experiences. But for that playlist to be created, I need one person, just one person, to send me a video to that email. And you can be the first person to start that playlist off. And you'll have a nice thumbnail made especially. Every single one will be made just for you. Individual. It's not going to be a compilation. It's going to be your own little thumbnail and stuff up there for people. This is the people's channel.
It goes to reason that maybe we've had some help. And I know this year is the true opening of all of this. This is the biggest discovery ever, in my opinion. To know that aliens are here and helping us. Are you kidding me? This is spectacular.
Sorry for stopping, but why be scared? Why are you scared? What are you scared of? Why are you scared of saying you've had an experience? Why are you scared? Don't be scared. Don't be scared. Share your experience. This is what we need. We need people to stop being scared. That's why there's so many people watching this live at the minute. They want someone that they can resonate with, someone that's normal, someone that's unorthodox, someone that doesn't give a shit but has the knowledge to share with you, and to take your knowledge as well and take that on board and not be arrogant enough to think that I know everything. Share your experience. It'll be the best thing you ever do. Trust me. I know people write books. BA writes books about our experience and stuff like that. If you're not... Listen, I'd love to write a book. I don't have enough to write a book about, but there are people that they do it in different ways. Just sharing a 30-second, 60-second, 5-minute video is just as good as writing a book. it can have an impact. It can have a real impact. I did a video not long ago where I went into a live. I created a live on TikTok. Kaz Clark found out about it because I was thinking that's the Pentuck, the main witness. She came into that live. From that live, someone from the United States called Monty ended up flying from the United States to the UK. She's never left the country before to go and meet a load of people from the UK and have that experience of the 10-year anniversary. So a little thing you do can have a massive impact on someone, and that's what I'm trying to promote. You need to do it. Ignore everybody. Nobody gives a shit about them. Nobody gives a shit about them. 1 or 2 people might hate you, but there's fucking thousands and millions of people that love you for sharing that video.
Spectacular. And to me, I know they're here helping us. And so that's what I foresee, except...
If I may jump in, can I just ask, do you think this is connected to 3i Atlas and perhaps other cosmic events we're seeing right now?
Well, here's my take on the AI Atlas. It is not aliens. It's moving too slow. Aliens have the technology where they can be here in a second and their technology is so advanced. It's not going to be just, inching along at the rate of speed like, that we can, calculate it and all of that. Trust me, it's not an alien ship. But I always look at all comets, asteroids, anything that comes into our solar system is a sign. It is a symbol and a sign. And what it's telling us is the evolution of our consciousness. It is a huge sign, like Halley's Comet, Hale-Bopp. All of these are big symbols of signs, just like the planets when they come into our system. And they're trying to tell us something significant. And this is what it's telling us. Look, the world is about to change. There's going to be an evolution. And our consciousness goes from here to here. It goes way up. This big opening is tremendous. And another thing is I keep talking about the uncovering of secrets, because what I found is when I looked at the chart for the United States, and by the way, I'm going to have a prediction day. I know probably it will have already aired by the time this comes out, but I have a...
This woman is Wisdom North and John. I think she's called Joni Patry. That's her name there, I think, at the bottom, Joni Patry. So if you want to check her out. Lovely hair.
A prediction day that I sit with everyone for 6 hours, and we go over month by month and where all the planets are and what it means, but most of all, each country. Because the way that I make my predictions for countries is I look at their leaders and I look at the chart for the country. And therefore, that's how I can tell you more specifically where everything is due to happen in that year. So going back to talking about the predictions in July.
Okay, so we've got some breaking news after this. I'll share a clip of it in a sec. I'll find it. It's about Burleson and the FBI investigation into the mysterious suicide of someone.
Where all of this is about to just explode in awareness and consciousness. I also noted that in the United States chart, it will be activating a certain planet, actually Rahu in the United States chart. Jupiter will be exactly on Rahu in the chart, in the 8th house of the United States chart. What is the 8th house? It's about the secrets, uncovering the secrets. So transiting Jupiter, activating that in the United States country's chart means all the secrets and the corruptions are going to come out. And this is what I know is being suppressed.
Right, so we'll leave that and we'll go to... Just give me a second to go to X. There's some breaking news on... It's just been WhatsApped to me by UFO Shiv. Let me have a look. Who is it? It's UAP James. Let me get that out for you. Let's get this on the big screen for you.
General McCaslin apparently walked out of his home, left all of his devices, and never came back. And Monica Reza, she was on a hike as well, and mysteriously disappeared. And I've heard of others. We've already sent a letter. When I first came in, I heard of another gentleman, and I'll keep that name to out of respect. I sent a letter to the FBI investigating the suspicious suicide of another individual who had worked alongside, other whistleblowers like David Grush and Jake Barber who had come forward. So their colleague is mysteriously committed suicide. We've already sent the letter to the FBI to investigate that, and that is an ongoing investigation. General McCaslin apparently walked out of his home, left all of his devices, and never came back. And Monica Reza, she was on a hike as well, and mysteriously.
So that's some breaking news. Then that they're looking into that. So let's play it again for people that might
disappeared.
General
McCaslin apparently walked out of his home, left all of his devices, and never came back. And Monica Reza, she was on a hike as well, and mysteriously disappeared. And I've heard of others. We've already sent a letter. When I first came in, I heard of another gentleman, and I'll keep that name out of respect. I sent a letter to the FBI investigating the suspicious suicide of another individual who had worked alongside, other whistleblowers like David Grush and Jake Barber who had come forward. So their colleague is mysteriously committed suicide. We've already sent the letter to the FBI to investigate that, and that is an ongoing investigation.
Wow. Okay, so that's interesting. So we've got some more clips to play, obviously. There's 440 people in. If you've got anything you would like to cover, if you want to be interviewed and stuff like that, reach out to me and I will interview you and stuff like that. This is the People's Channel. I'm not interested in the merry-go-round that everybody else does with the same people, fucking copy and paste. I want the people's experiences. That's what's important. They go for the gatekeepers. We want the people on the ground. We want the people having experiences. They're the voices that aren't being heard. That's what my channel's about, promoting that, promoting you. That's why it's UFOs around the world, right? So that's what we need to be doing. So let's get this up. So the next one is what we're doing. No, we've seen that one. Oh, we'll do the Bashar one now. This is the newer one.
What is required for me to have access to believing?
I can't in any way, shape, or form imagine anything that would make you believe.
This was 5 days ago, so this is fairly new. So I'm gonna share in this. Make sure you give her a follow. She's called Dr. Mayim, Bialik. She's got 2.2 million followers. 5 days ago, so it's nearly 750,000 views already, that one. And I want 2 chapters that I want to share in this, which is Open Contact with Non-Humans and The Earth is a Tough School. This is the chapters I'm going to play.
Believe. It would simply be your choice to say, there is a usable amount of information here that's down to earth and practical and actually can create a physical effect in my life. And that's all that's important for you to get a hold of right now, because if in fact we are going to have open contact within a couple of years, well, then you'll have all the proof of extraterrestrials that you need, which I do believe is about to happen. So
When you started channeling, did you also believe that was imminent, or has this evolved?
This has evolved.
Got it.
This has evolved. He originally.
Just want to say thank you. We've just been just over 2 hours now, and we've had 3,000 views, which is great for a channel my size, and I really do appreciate people supporting a smaller channel. and hopefully get it bigger. Because I'm your voice. I'm not just, and I'm not a grifter. I work 5 days, 6 days a week, and stuff like that. And I have a family of, I've got 5 kids and stuff like that. Just a little bit about me. I'm a heavy researcher. I've researched for 27 years, so I am somebody that just basically I'm just you. I'm just you on a camera, and I will promote you as much as I will possibly can. If you send me your videos by email and stuff like that, I will put it into playlists.
Originally said there was a particular window in which open contact was going to happen, which I think originally many years ago was somewhere between 2020 and 2033. And over the years, he has been narrowing it down as we have been doing things like discussing disclosure and all that. So he is now saying, and actually he's not the only person saying, other psychic mediums have also corroborated this, that probably in 2027 we will be introduced literally to extraterrestrials by an official report.
I really want that to happen. The main reason I want it to happen is that so people stop saying that it's not real. Like, we can stop fighting about it.
Yeah. Well, disclosure that's happening is one of the steps, starting to take it seriously.
I mean, there's still so much resistance to it.
Of course. And there probably will be even after open contact, because people will be in denial, or they won't want it to be real.
They'll
or
claim it's AI.
They'll claim it's fake, whatever. He's not saying everyone's going to go, okay, we're all, kumbaya. No, it's going to take a couple of decades for humanity to get used to the idea. But he's saying, but it has to happen soon, because you have to have the time before humanity's reset period to absorb all of this at your own pace in the way that you want to. We're not going to force it on you.
First contact specialist, are they there as like a non-profit? I'm wondering if they...
Right, how do I highlight people? I've tried tagging people, but it doesn't highlight like B.A. Crisp has just done. B.A. Crisp, how are you doing that? I can't even do that on my own live. How do I highlight you like that?
Have a vested interest in Earth being successful in some kind of way.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, like I said, they're a hybrid race, which means they're genetically connected to us. So they consider us to be family. In a sense, they consider us to be like ancestors.
Almost 500 people in the live. Absolutely amazing. 219 likes. If we could push that, can we get that to 300? I'm going to go insane. Fuck it. Let's get to 300, folks. Come on. People's Channel. The People's Channel. Let's do it.
They've been around longer than we have.
Much.
Like millions of years?
Not their society specifically, but other ETs, yes. Since they are a hybrid race created through a hybridization process, through a genetic process, they are, in a sense, relative to the galaxy, a relatively new race. But in their reality, in their parallel reality, in relation to them, we would consider them to be about 3,000 years ahead of us in advance. They're trying to help us avoid some of the pitfalls that the species that created them went through. Because his story of what the Greys are is that they used to be a parallel reality version of Earth. They used to be human. They destroyed their world. They had to mutate to survive into what we now see as the Greys. They lost the ability to reproduce. They had to shift into other parallel realities where human DNA was still viable, like ours, and use that to create hybrids to perpetuate their culture.
So I've just hit over 515 people in the live. That is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Has this come to you in bits and pieces over the years? Was this an early...
No, he did lay this out a few years ago, but more and more detail has been coming out over the years about why this is happening, how it's happening, and why they're helping us. They're noticing we're making the same mistakes, and they don't want us to have to make the same mistakes and do the same thing that turned their reality into the Greys.
Humans are trying to figure out right now how to coexist on a planet that has shared resources, and we cannot for the life of us work collectively as a species.
Right.
Big problem when the survival of the species requires global cooperation.
Yes. And that's one of the reasons I think we're about to have open contact. I'm going to put this in this language. It's about time for the adults to step in and say, that's enough. You're messing up the planet. It's very important that you don't.
Is our technological progress, specifically with the development of AI, the beginning of the hybridization process?
It's one level of what we will merge with in the future, but it's not the beginning. The hybridization process has been going on for thousands of years.
So when people say they're abducted by aliens because they're taking their DNA, this
That's
might be...
why.
Oh.
That's why.
They need the human DNA to go back to help them propagate the species that has basically been
Yes.
unable to advance because of the mutations and degradation of their...
Yes. And therefore the hybrids are now helping us to avoid the same fate.
We spoke to Robin Hanson. We speak to many people who think about contact in very different forms. And his perspective with the zoo hypothesis that aliens are monitoring the progression of Earth, potentially because it is safer for us not to leave the planet because it will create a intergalactic upset if we're launching ourselves off into the galaxy. What do you say about that?
I'd say there's a little bit of truth to that, but I don't think there's actually much that we could do other than they will not allow us to have a global thermonuclear war. I think they've demonstrated that very clearly on several occasions when UFOs have hovered over missile silos and scrambled the launch codes. And that's been their way of saying, you're not doing that. This is too valuable of a place for souls to incarnate into, to learn things, to learn lessons, to grow. And they're not going to allow humanity, now that it's reached a level where it could annihilate the entire planet, they're saying, no, you can't do that. So that's one of the reasons why I think they're finally stepping in.
And do we get to that place because there are just...
If people have any questions with what the videos you've seen tonight, please put at UFOs Around the World, capital letters, question, and I'll read it out for you, because I know people probably have questions and stuff like that.
Rogue souls who are unruly and childlike, and is like, why are we even at the precipice where our salvation has to be monitored in this way?
Earth is a tough school. Earth is a school of polarities, very extreme polarities. Different planets have different kinds of cycles, different kinds of reasons for being. Souls that incarnate on Earth are like going through a master graduating class of learning to transform negative to positive, darkness to light, limitation to freedom. But a soul can come in saying, I'm going to cause a lot of chaos in this life, because if I cause enough, maybe humanity will finally say enough and really learn the lesson and figure out how to not have that happen again.
Oh, you mean good chaos or bad chaos?
Bad chaos. It's a yin and a yang kind of situation where you can use the negative to foment a positive change by making people so sick and tired of being sick and tired that they finally say, stop.
What do you think it is about our experience now that requires this kind of change?
Well, I think that we've arrived at a point, like I said, where things have come to a head, where we can be completely out of control to the point where the planet can be annihilated. And they're saying, no, you can't do that. And now it's time, like I said, for the adults to come in and say, look, we've been helping you behind the scenes for a long time. And there are some people on your planet that know that. And we are working with them secretly. But now it's got to be out in the open. Everyone has to understand that, not that we're forcing ourselves on you, but everyone has to understand that this is another choice.
If you knew then what you know now, would you still have chosen to be the recipient of this kind of channeling?
Oh, absolutely. I am driven to just help people on every level. If I see someone in the mall that's looking confused, I will stop and say, what are you looking for? Let me help you.
You'll be like, let me channel what you need.
No, I'm just driven to help people. And so I think if I understood from the beginning that this is something that was really going to help people, I would have chosen to continue to do it anyway. That's one of the things I get out of it. Not only that it's helped my life, but that people are constantly coming back to me and saying, this made such a big difference in my life when I applied the information properly and got a result. And my life is so much better now. That's extremely gratifying.
Has there been a time when you've gotten information that you did not want, or that you did not want to communicate, or when you wished, in the sort of like TV movie of your life, was there a moment where you were like, I don't want this information?
No, never. There are moments I can tell in the channeling when there is information being withheld that is not an appropriate time to deliver it.
What does that feel like?
it feels like I know there's something else there, but I'm not supposed to say anything.
Do you have other special powers? Like, do you have other things that, like, you know, other intuitive sense or?
More and more lately, because this is rubbing off on me in a way. And when I drive, I definitely have a spider sense. If there's a car coming out from the side and I can't see it, I know there's a car coming out and I stop. And there is inevitably a car coming out. So it's honed those kinds of vibrational senses a lot. It's honed some telepathic abilities. It's more increased the synchronicity that I experience in my life to the level where it's almost ridiculous. One of the movies we were going to make, I wanted a particular person to narrate it. Now, that's not who wound up doing it, but this...
Jeremiah, what do you mean children should be taught truth of existence at young ages, not how to dress up like animals, etc.? Can you explain that comment, please? I just need you to verify what you mean by that.
This is the level in which synchronicity has started happening in my life. This particular actor, we said, okay, we'll send a letter to his agent.
Can you... Are you going off the religious... and what religion do you follow, Jeremiah? They're just concerned about what you said there, that's all.
So we sent the letter off saying we'd like you to narrate this movie. The next day, my wife and I were meeting a friend who suggested a restaurant I had never been to before. We walk in the restaurant, who's walking out? That actor.
Yeah.
So things like that have been happening more and more and more and more, just to ridiculous proportions.
Thinking a little bit more about how it works, not just channeling, but how the earth works. And I love this explanation of, you know, what is this society, civilization that's so far ahead of us?
I'm glad you said that, Shiv, because I used to dismiss what Bashar said, but listening to this interview, honestly, everybody needs to go to Dr. Mayim Bialik and listen to this full interview. It's an hour and 40 minutes long in total. The two chapters I'm covering was the open contact and the Earth is a school, but you get a bit more about Bashar and who he is and stuff like that.
And what do they know? We speak to a lot of people who have NDEs, and they talk about seeing beyond the veil, outside of this physical reality. And one of the things they talk a lot about is the evolution of souls incarnating, and then leaving. Do you have a sense of when a soul comes in and leaves, is it a contained ecosystem? Are they going back out and going to other parts of the galaxy taking those lessons? How much is just sort of staying in the Earth ecosystem versus going back out and sharing that information?
My understanding is that once you are your non-physical self, your soul self, you have absolutely unlimited free will to choose anything you want, whatever that may be. So you can remain in spirit, you can explore other dimensions, you can incarnate on other planets, you can come back to Earth and incarnate, you can do anything, and probably there are things we can't even imagine because we're not there right now as options that we could be given.
Is Earth the hottest nightclub in the galaxy?
It is unique in certain ways because of the mix of things going on here. I'm sure there are other worlds that may be going through certain similar things. We're not the only one. But Earth is unique in terms of the mix of the kinds of things we're experiencing here. And that's another big story about why that may be.
It's got the best DJs.
Does Bashar communicate through other people as well?
He did temporarily to help them start channeling what they needed to channel, but then pulled back after he was done with that. At this point, I'm the only one that does that with him. There are other members of his society that channel through other people.
Do you know those people?
I know a couple of them.
And does it track?
It really does, because it's freaky. Because if you've seen him channeling, you know how distinctly different his personality is. Watching that come through another person, and especially like one time a Japanese woman, and it's that personality coming through a Japanese woman, it's like, okay, that's him.
Do you feel a little cheated on?
No.
What is your understanding about kind of where these things live, meaning these concepts, these ideas? Is it different states of consciousness that we're accessing?
Yes.
Like what is it that you're tapping into?
What's happening is I'm altering my brain waves to go to a certain state. He alters.
Jeremiah, I'm still waiting for you to answer my question about why you said that about the children and why they shouldn't dress a certain way and stuff like that. I need you to validate what you were saying, because I wasn't comfortable with what you were saying there. Not at all. I was not comfortable with that. So you need to validate that.
His brain waves to go to a certain state. We kind of meet in the middle and lock in frequency like two tuning forks vibrating in harmony. And when that happens, I become a translation device for his thoughts. And that's kind of what I was leading up to earlier, is when someone asks a question, the entire answer is there in a split second. It takes time for it to unspool in my language. That's why you never hear him say, or any hesitation when the information comes out, because it's already all there, and it's just some automatic function that's been trained into me to let it translate into English.
So why would Bashar, who's trying to communicate with us on a higher level, to communicate the kind of information that
He's talking about children deciding they're animals and then going to school and having that reinforced, and that the kids end up going to the bathroom in a little box at school. I don't understand. I absolutely no idea what you're trying to get at that. What do you mean? The children go to a toilet? What do you mean? I'm not going to have anybody trying to say that. You need to verify what you say. You need to. I don't understand what you're saying. What are you saying? Explain it properly. That makes no sense. He's talking about children deciding they're animals. What do you mean by that? I have no idea what you're talking about there.
you are sending out, right, to people in this universe or in this reality. Why should he bother himself with people's trivial questions or
because
life
nothing
decisions?
is trivial to him. There is a reason why someone is asking it. And very often when someone asks what you might think is a trivial question, he'll find a reason to pull it around in another direction and show why it was important for that person to ask that question, or how it can even serve other members in the audience who may be reluctant to ask their question.
And those things collectively, in theory, could help us as a people.
Well, if you're on about it's a litter box, that's not just children, is it? Adults go to the toilet. They use toilet paper and stuff like that. I don't understand why you're referring this to children and stuff like that. That concerns me. If I see anything on my fucking channel that refers to children being sexualized in any manner, in any sort of thing, you will be fucking blocked. Instantly blocked. You need to verify what you're saying regarding the children. I'm telling you now. Do not say that children are wrong in what they're doing. When people have these fucking weird fantasies, they're the problem, not the children. They're the problem, and a lot of the times it comes under certain fucking books. Someone needs to say it as it is.
Yes.
Elevate our consciousness, elevate our, our psychological health, right? If I'm having a problem with my mother or my father, whatever.
Exactly.
If people come to you with that, there's a larger system at play, correct?
Yes. One of the things, the woman that runs Bashar Communications, who is the official distributor of the information, also is very familiar with different forms of psychology. To her,
Dolores
Bashar
Cannon
is a new...
Dolores Cannon is here. She's going to be the last clip, and it's going to be a long clip. It's going to be probably about 20 odd minutes or something like that, where she goes through a lot of stuff. I'm saving Dolores Cannon to the end because she's probably one that I really do like in this sort of area and stuff like that. So Dolores Cannon is here. Don't worry, it's not clickbait. It's not. I've covered everything and a little bit of latest news and stuff like that. In fact, it's been a really good live, and people have enjoyed it, it looks like, and a lot of people have been in, nearly 4,000 people in 2 hours. So people have been in and out and stuff like that, and a lot of chat about what's going on. If you've got a question, just capitalise it and put at question. But Dolores Cannon is coming, don't worry.
New level of psychology in terms of how he phrases things and how he says things work.
I don't do clickbait. All my thumbnails I deliver on every single thumbnail. That's one thing I pride myself on.
In the human brain and in our, whatever we want to call that, our makeup. We have this science fiction notion that an alien should be able to answer any question we ask them. That's not necessarily true. Bashar has a specific function. Like I said, he's a first contact specialist. He's not a physicist. He's not something else. He has a basic knowledge of what we might consider to be some more advanced ideas about physics, because for them, that's the level that they're at. But
Nancy, my advice is don't try and interpret what other people are saying. Let that person himself explain. He's not explained. He's not dropped a comment in why he's probably left alive because he can't explain it in a way. My interpretation was he was going off whatever his maybe religion is and how they look at things and stuff like that. That is why I asked him to go through it, because he would instantly have got blocked if he'd have said a certain thing and stuff like that. Please don't interpret other people's things. Let them speak for themselves. It's important people speak for themselves. I'm not going to go at you, Nancy. You was just trying to interpret. Maybe you interpreted it wrong.
He is essentially, as a first contact specialist, more of a diplomat psychologist, because he needs to express to us why we do what we do, why we choose to believe what we believe, and how we can change it in ways that make it more constructive for us. That's his understanding of how we change things in this world, is why do we do the things we do? Why do we believe what we believe? And how can we change those things?
We have some basic principles from Bashar, which I think would be helpful to explore a little bit. And one of them that stands out to me is the highest purpose for your life is to be yourself, to be the best to your ability, and to live each moment as fully as possible.
Yes.
Is it the biggest issue with humanity that we actually don't know who we are or how to live fully ourselves?
Yes. We are trying to be everything that we're not. And that's where the struggle comes from. We're told you have to do it this way, you have to do it that way, don't do this, don't stand out, don't follow your dreams, be practical. That doesn't work. That's not realistic. And that causes all the trouble, because then we're denying who we are and what we are. And we never find out what we are. And we go into all sorts of self-recriminations and self-doubt and lack of self-worth and depression and suicide and all sorts of stuff, just because we're not allowed to actually figure out what and who we really are and why we're really here. So that's the main thing he's trying to do is, look, there are principles that are literally like instruction manuals for how you create your physical reality experience. And if you just follow them, you will find that your life will work, because you're using the same principles now, but you're doing it unconsciously, and therefore you're not making conscious.
Tucker Carlson just cooked Netanyahu. What did he say, bro? Put it in the chat, please. I'll highlight it if it's anything important. Right, we're almost at the end of... Right, we can go to the next clip now anyway, so let's get rid of that. Thank you so much, folks. 500 people. Really impressed with that for a channel my size. Thank you for supporting a Manchester lad. Goes into it. We're going to get to the final clip, which is get rid of that one. Dolores Cannon. Now this is a 27-minute thing. We're just going to play it all the way through because people wanted Dolores Cannon, and I do like Dolores Cannon, and I just want people to sit back and listen to this. If you're having a drink tonight, whatever, or chilling out, let's get into it. Let's go.
So don't try to get out of it too soon. The best is yet to come. You don't know what the rest of the contract is. First, you have to...
Just a shout out first. This is from the Ozark Research Institute. This video has had 3.2 million views, and it was posted on the 18th of October 2020. So please, everybody, make sure you give Ozark a follow. Ozark Research Institute.
To get rid of all the old junk, the garbage and the baggage out of your life. And then you can move into what you really came for. So many people come to see me and they said, I want out. I want to commit suicide. I don't want to be here anymore. They don't realize what they've contracted to do.
I'm going to interrupt every now and again because what she's saying about so many people do suicides and stuff like that and they can't do it anymore. And maybe when they commit suicide, they're out there and they go, well, you fucking chose this life. And they're like, oh shit, yeah, fucking, I couldn't handle it. Earth's too much. It's a tough life. I shouldn't have ever done it. So She reminds me of my grandma. My grandma looked just like her. And like I said, I don't do clickbait thumbnails. I was going to leave you always with Dolores Cannon because she's a legend, and God rest her soul.
Of course, if you get out too soon, you got to come back and do it again. You don't get out of anything. That's not the way the law of karma works. Okay, I'm not going to go into too much of the 3 waves of volunteers. I think last year, that's what I mostly talked about, wasn't it? That's the book I finished last year, and it's making waves all over the world. But I want to mention it. It's the 3 waves of volunteers in the New Earth. But as I said, all of my work is an accumulation of the different information that comes through all of these thousands of people that I see. That's how I come up with these theories. First, let's talk about the Earth School. You've all signed on to be here in the Earth School. And I'm going to talk about that first to show where you have come to now as we're in 2012. And the different speakers have been talking about God, and this is all in my books also. And that's why I said a lot of these concepts were very challenging in the beginning. Okay, we all began with God. I have so many clients coming to me, and on their list of questions is always, where did I come from? But they always say, why am I here, too? Well, where did I come from? And I tell them we all came from the same place. No, I want to know what's my home planet. There's no such thing. We all came from the same place. Other planets are just one of the schools that we sign on to learn at. But that's not home, not the real home. We all began at the same place. We all started with God, or what they call the source. Now, I've had many, many people go back to the source. They go back to when they were with God before they ever started on this long journey to become humans. Humans are kind of like the last part of the whole thing. This is the worst part, really. But we all began at the same place, and I've had people go back and experience it, and they always describe God the same way. First, you have to get over the idea that God is a man. He's not a man. If anything, he would be a woman. Because women are the creative power. But he's neither one. He's not male or female. There is no gender. And when people go back to be with God, they're just doing instead of going to past lives, this is what they do. They go back to the beginning. They always describe it the same way, that God is like a huge energy force. They describe it like a big bright light. Some of them say they are in the sun, but it's not hot. Other ones say the great central sun is what they call it. But it's a huge light. And when they're there, there's total love. They don't want to leave. They're all together. Everyone is together, and they all want to stay there. They don't want to leave. It is so much love and is so much beauty. And when I've had people go back there, they say, don't wake me up, I want to stay here because it's so beautiful. And afterwards, the ones I work with, they always come through the people I work with, and they said that the person who had the session, they wanted to get a taste of what it was like. It was one of their questions. They wanted to know, what is God really like? They wanted a taste of home.
If people hate on Dolores, then, they probably like Lou Elizondo and other people like that as well. I'll give you some advice from a person that had a granddad who was a spiritualist, and I didn't take him serious when he spoke about the interdimensional beings and stuff like that. He died at 90-odd years old in 2019. I wish I could go back in time. This lady's also passed away. If you've got someone, a grandma, a granddad that speaks like this, sit down, get a cup of tea, and listen to them.
But they said, we can just give her a taste. If we showed her what it was really like, she wouldn't want to return. But you gave her enough so that at least she'd have an idea of what it was like. It's so beautiful and so wonderful. They said, a human being cannot really understand the totality of God, of the source. It is so enormous. They said, our belief in God and our concept of God is like a tiny thread compared to what it really is. We cannot understand the totality of it. Then,
let me tell you what's ludicrous. The Big Bang, everything came from the Big Bang. Everything originated from that. That is absolute bullshit. That's human primitive science. Science holds this fucking topic back. All these fucking physicists that talk about, oh, they don't understand it. You're not going to understand something that is not in your book that you've been taught in a school, in a university, whatever. It is beyond your understanding. That is why you do not understand it. And I get why you ask the questions, but you hold the topic back. There are things that you will not understand because fucking humans don't know everything about the universe. So you only know the human primitive physics, all that kind of bullshit. Really winds me. Science winds me up. If it doesn't come up into the textbooks of the humans that they've brought into this in our schools, our universities and stuff like that, they don't understand it. Fuck them.
they said, consider the other people out there who don't even have the metaphysical background. Their concept of God isn't even as big as a tiny thread. That's how hard it is to understand. But they said it's the glue that holds everything together. If it were to wink out for a fraction of a second, everything would disintegrate. That's how powerful this is.
I'm 11 away from 300 likes, 563 people in here. Please push it. That'd be great. Thank you.
And I've went into a lot of this in my books, the different versions of the dreamer dreams a dream, life is an illusion. One concept I like to bring up that may shake you up a little. This building, this room, didn't even exist until you collectively decided to be here today. Is that a little hard to understand? This is the kind of concepts I'm getting. It's the collective consciousness of how it creates. That when we decided to come here, we constructed this thing out of the energy, because everything is energy.
Just a quick one, sorry to pause it. When I see a scientist that is religious, that is the most contradictory thing I can see. Because they call out a lot of bullshit, but yeah, they are religious. So they're going against their own religion if they're in science and they're religious. It really is contradictory what some of the religious scientists say. It really is. And people need to pull people on that. It's like, you're a scientist, yeah, and you're religious, yeah. Well, how the fuck do you explain why you follow your religion and stuff like that? Because they're going against it. Honestly, they're pricks. I've got to say it as it is.
And that's how it works.
300 likes, thank you so much.
When we all began, we were all part of God. This beautiful light, this huge energy, total love, we all began there. And God decided he wanted to learn, he wanted to know, he was curious. So what happened? He burst out in all directions. It's called, some of them call it the Big Bang Theory. And I've had a lot of people argue with me about these things. I'm the reporter, remember, the reporter, the investigator. I report what I get. It burst out in all directions, and when it did, all these tiny sparks flew out in all directions. Some of these sparks became galaxies. Some of them became universes. Many, many of them became your own individual soul. When I take people back in the sessions to find out what you really, really are, All they see is a tiny little spark of light. That's what your soul is, your spirit, a tiny little spark of light. And that's how you all began. You are not a body. You have a body. This is just a suit of clothes, a costume you're wearing right now to play this part, this role in this stage play that you're involved in. Everything is an illusion. Nothing is real. I've had people go through the death experiences, and after they've died and they're on the spirit side, they look back at the life and they'll say, it was just a play. I can see all the actors on stage getting ready to come out and play their parts. I can see the actors in the wings getting ready to come on. And they said, but when I was there, it was so hard and so difficult. But now that I'm on the other side, it was like a blink of an eye. We get caught up in the illusion. So you are the producer, director, and actor in your own play. You're also the script writer. But the script is being written as it goes along. You know what that means? You can change the script anytime you want. You're the writer. You're the actor. You don't like the way the scene is going? Change it. This is how much power we have, and we don't realize it. So you're just an actor wearing a costume to play this part. But when God burst out and sent everyone out, he said, go, my children, and learn. Learn everything there is to learn. Have every experience there is to experience. He said, there is no bad, there is no good. There's only lessons and experiences. And you choose these every time you come into a life. And what you chose to learn, we all have bad things happen in our lives. That's life. But what did you learn from it? Remember, you created it to learn.
See, the life after death stuff fascinates me, and if it's true, then I'm buzzing with that. But I don't want to forget everything that I've got now. Do you know what I mean? That's what I want to understand. What happens to the children I've got now? Like, do I lose everything? And when I go into the next life, do I not have any memory whatsoever? Am I me now, but in a different life? I don't want to be someone else. I want to be me, but in a different life. But it's hard, man.
Learn something from. You made it maybe more difficult than it should have been, but you created it to learn something. And I have clients that I ask that to, and they'll say, I didn't learn anything. It was just a horrible experience. What happens then if you say I didn't learn anything? You got to take that class over again. Earth is nothing but a school that you signed on here to experience. There are many, many schools out there because when we start out, God said, learn everything. Everything that's possible, everything there is, things you can't even imagine, and then bring it back to me. And when we're all done with all of our schools, with all of our lessons, we take all the information back, download it into the gigantic computer that is God, that is the source. I asked them one time, well, then what does he do with it? He said, starts over again, recreating again. So it's unending. But when you start on the schools, you go to other planets, you go to other dimensions. You have to.
Could this be why, when I was told once that when the truth comes out, you wouldn't look at your children the same, because your relatives, like my father passed in 2013. Is he now reincarnated possibly in this life, and he's a child somewhere under different parents and stuff like that? Is that what potentially is happening, stuff like that? That'd be insane, wouldn't it, to think that my dad lives on in another child somewhere. in another country maybe or something like that. That's just insane to think about, isn't it?
To know what all of that is like.
And when you get these past life stories of these children, it's like the Bari lad. Have you seen the Bari lad story where he takes these parents to the Bari Island where he points out the house where he used to live at and his parents, and what he said was he fell down a hill and then he woke up in this body. So basically he fell, died, and woke up in another body. It's just insane. But there's loads of children that speak like this from the age of 0 to 7, and after that they seem to forget about the past life.
Like,
that's an idea. Maybe I'll do a past life live watch along. I'll do that this week.
And I proved this by taking hundreds of people. I never know where they're going to go. I think they're going to go in a past life. They don't. They go on these other planets, other dimensions, and they learn whatever it is to be learned there. But when you come to Earth, they said this is the most difficult planet in the universe. It's the hardest. It's the densest. It's the heaviest. They don't want to come here. It's very, very difficult. They have a lot more fun on the other planets. And also they have a lot of fun on the spirit side. They'd like rather better stay over there because they're learning a lot there. There's schools, there's all kinds of things on the spirit side. And I've written about all of these things in my books. But when they decide they're going to come to Earth and take on Earth's school, they're warned. This is going to be very difficult. You know this, don't you? Once you sign on for the Earth school, it's a long school. You can't get out of it until you are finished. You have to take all the grades, all the steps. You can't jump from kindergarten to college. You have to finish this class before you go to the next class. If you fail that class, there's no judgment. You just take it over again. And I've had many clients who are taking the same class over and over and over again. They go through maybe 4 or 5 lives with the same people, same circumstance, and they still haven't got it. You probably know people like that in your own lives, drawing the same circumstances to them time after time, the same kind of people to them time after time. Like, when are you going to get it? Now, the universe, one's running all of this, and I'm glad somebody's running it. They don't care how long it takes you to pass one class, one grade. You have eternity. But do you want to take eternity to learn one little lesson? While everybody else is going on to high school, to college, you're still stuck on the 2nd grade. If that's what you want, it's your free will, you can do it. But if you realize you're just repeating the same class over and over again and not moving forward, then it finally begins to get into your head, okay, I don't need to keep repeating this. I'm going to move on. Then you go to the next class, the next grade, which may or may not be easier, may be harder, but at least it'll be different. Because there's no judging. You judge yourself. You decide yourself what you're going to learn when you come.
Yeah, the next live then I'll do, to follow on from this, is near-death experiences and reincarnations. I've got a lot of videos where a lot of children are speaking about their past lives. I think that'd be a really good live, actually. So yeah, that's something outside the box. I'll do that this week. Possibly, I'll have a day off tomorrow, because I've been busy this weekend. Maybe a Wednesday or a Thursday night live, that.
Come into a life. You set up the circumstances. Everybody here has been saying the same things. You choose your parents. You choose where you're going to live, the environment, what is going to be the best for you. You decide it all. But you have all these advisors over there, and they're always trying to help you.
Like I say to people, some of the lives I do, you might think it's bullshit, it's bollocks. I get that, right? It's up to you what you want to believe. But stick with me, because there'll be lives where you'll be on board with it and be like, oh, I believe in this. I cover everything. That's the beauty of my channel. I cover everything. Don't judge me off one live. Judge me on 10 lives. Then you can decide whether you want to follow me or you don't want to follow me.
They can't tell you what to do, but they can help you. They said, are you sure you want to do this? And they said, oh yeah, I want to get rid of everything at once. I want to get rid of all the karma. And you pile your plate pretty full. Are you sure you want to do that? Yeah, I want to get it over with all at once. Say, okay, we'll be there to help you, but it's going to be very difficult. Because so many of us have taken so long to learn the lessons, we're caught on the wheel of karma. We haven't got it. We keep making the same mistake over and over and over again. And you don't get out of anything. You have to take that lesson until you learn it. And you keep coming back with the same people, just playing different roles. You be the husband this time, I'll be the wife. Or you be the mother, I'll be the child. Maybe we can figure it out. But it's the wheel of karma. One of the only things that Jesus came to teach us was how to get off the wheel of karma.
So let's say that people choose the life. So when people are trying for a baby and stuff like that, that baby's being created. Are they in like a waiting room? And it's like, right, I'm waiting to go down into a parents from Manchester or something to go into that environment. Okay, someone's about to give birth, so you can go into that baby and stuff like that. It's a boy. Do you want to be a boy or male, female, whatever? Is it that kind of options we get and stuff? This is what I rack my brains around and stuff like that.
We were going round and around and around. We were not moving upward. So he came to show us how to get off of the wheel. Of course, the only way is always with love. Love is the greatest thing there is. God, the source, is total love. And that's all they're ever trying to teach anyone. It's just that life on Earth is so much difficult. I said this is the most difficult planet in the universe. The densest, the heaviest. They say when you sign on to come here, they really admire you. You have to be very brave to take that step and to sign up on this school. So the majority of us are caught on this wheel going round and around and around for how many hundreds and thousands of lifetimes? We're not going anywhere.
What would you tell a man who can scroll for hours but can't work for 10 minutes and hates himself for it every night?
I'd tell him his brain isn't.
Now, these 3 waves of volunteers that have come in, that are volunteering, their energy is needed to help with the ascension, to help with the shifting.
So when I said she reminds me of my gran, this is my gran, she passed away in Thingy. Don't know if you can see that.
It is needed to help raise this. We can't do it by ourselves. The ones who are caught on the wheel of karma can't do it. They would be with the old earth and be destroyed. So the first wave of volunteers, I like to think are, like, now I think it starts after World War II. Those born after 1945 till they're about, I guess, 40, 50, maybe late 30s, that age group. And I've had some people tell me they have the same characteristics and they're in their early 60s. That's possible. And other ones may have been, they said may have been sent as forerunners to test the waters. Because they told me, we have tried this 3 times. The other times we couldn't get the critical mass and it didn't work. But now we've got it. Hundreds of thousands of volunteers have come in. We have tipped the scales and we have the critical mass now to save the world. That's why we're moving into the other dimension. But the first wave are those in that age group. They don't want to be here. They don't like it here. They don't understand the violence. Why do people hurt each other? What's this all about? They don't understand emotions, especially strong emotions. Strong emotions frighten them. because they don't, you can see why. They've never experienced life on Earth. They're just thrown into this mess.
It does show recently in Scientific when they looked at the when the egg gets fertilized, it's like a spark of light. I seen that a few months back. Is that the consciousness that she's speaking about, getting sent into that egg to become that child, that boy, that girl? Did they know what sex they're going to be? These are the questions I have and stuff like that. Just, do we get the option of what sex we're going to be? Do we have the option of what are we going to be rich? Are we going to be poor? Do we choose what I struggle with is, do we choose to live in a war-torn country where we're potentially going to get fucking killed? I struggle to believe that they're going to choose that life, or is it just like you can go back, but you don't have an option? You can go back and think. I don't know.
They don't understand emotions. They don't like violence. And they're always saying, I want to go home. I don't like it here. I don't know where home is. I just know it's not here. And I get thousands of emails. So if I don't answer your emails, be aware that I do read them. It's just that I can't possibly answer them all. But in many of them, the people will say, I can remember being a little child standing in the kitchen talking to my mother and saying, Mommy, I want to go home. And they say, well, you are home. No, I'm not. They know this is not where home is. And they're very unhappy here. And many in the first wave have tried to commit suicide to get out. That's how unhappy they are. And the first book I wrote about this was Keepers of the Garden, back in the 80s when I found my first one of this, and I didn't even know what it was. Now, after that, I began getting many, many people coming to me telling me the same story. The second wave had it easier. They would be 30s, 20s, 30s, maybe some of the 40s, in that age group. Some of these age groups overlap. Because people...
So we've got a comment there. That's the zinc spark. There are some who say no Big Bang, but the universe is more like a cell multiplying and set off by a zinc spark. Wrote about it in A Cosmic Conspiracy. Make sure you check that book out.
People tell me, well, I think I've got these characteristics, but I'm not in that age group. The second wave followed in the footsteps of the first wave, so they had it a little easier. I asked them one time, why did the first wave have it so hard? They said, because somebody had to be the one to be the way shower, the pioneer, to start that out, to set the path for the other ones to follow. That's why it was more difficult. So the second wave have come in. They are what I call antennas, generators, channelers of energy. They are...
Nice song, what is it called? I'm guessing you're just watching it from the beginning, so you'll probably see this. I don't know if you see it, 2 hours from now. But it's, I did the lyrics, I put it into AI. So the vocals are AI, the lyrics are mine, and the video was put together by Monty Mysteries. She did the video for me because she's smarter than me. So yeah, the lyrics are mine, the video is Monty's that she put together for me, and the actual voice is AI. I used through Suno, and I bought the rights to it and used it as my channel's intro and stuff like that. And if people give that intro time and stop seeing it as something that's just taking up space for 5 minutes, which most channels do when they are live, it's actually got a lot of information just in that live intro.
Are here receiving this energy to send the energy to all the other people of the world. And part of my, when the clients come in and they have their list of questions, the main question, I call it the universal question, they always want to know, why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing? And, that's the main question. So, when I get these people, they always want to know, why am I here? They're always told, you're here to generate energy. You're here to spread the energy. The second wave people can walk through a crowded mall of people and affect everyone that they come in contact with. They don't know it consciously, but they affect every single person they come in contact with because they are channeling this energy to help change the people and raise the vibrations of the earth. What I mean, that's why they're here to volunteer these jobs. And the people say, well, what am I supposed to be doing? They said, you're not supposed to do anything. You're just supposed to be. And this one man said, but I want to do something. You are doing something just by being. But there's a paradox here. These people are supposed to be spreading energy to people, but they don't like people.
Someone just commented, she's dead, how is it alive? Laughing emoji. If you don't understand, then you need to go and take your brain for a shit.
They'd rather stay home by themselves. Many of the second wave live alone. They work from their homes. They have no desire to go out and mix with people. They don't like the energies of the other people. Many of them don't get married. First and second wave, many of them don't marry and don't have children because having children, you create karma. And when these volunteers come in to Earth.
For people that have just joined the live, this is the end of the live nearly now, right? So there has been a lot of talk about 2026, 2027. Now we're getting to the Dolores bit where she's talking through it. We've already gone through that. It's not my fault you're late to the live. The big clue is when you click on it and it says there's 2 hours and odd minutes you've missed. I can't help you with that. If you've got a small brain, I can't help you with that, sorry. And if that offends you, just fuck off. I don't care. I really don't care.
They have a coating, a covering, a sheath over their body, their soul, to keep them from accumulating karma. It kind of bounces off of them because they don't want them to be stuck here. Do your job and get out. So they're just here to help. So the second wave had it a little easier, but still you're here just to generate energy and help people. The third wave, of course, are the children, the new children that have come in. Everybody's DNA is being changed. It's all part of this shifting into the new earth. Everybody's DNA is being changed. Now with this shifting, the older people are having the hardest time adapting. Of course, the young people are already there. Their DNA is already where it's supposed to be when they come in.
Listen, I have no regrets when I tell people to F off and stuff like that. My channel will get people that want to be on this channel. If people just don't want to come in, they will get told by me. I don't beg for followers or anything like that. The people that hear and follow me get me. They know what I'm about. People that come in and don't get me, they can just sod off. I don't care. Like I said, this isn't my full-time job. It's a hobby. People that respect the channel and stuff like that, they will join. People that don't, they can go and take a long walk off a short pier. A lot of the times, the wheel's spinning, but the hamster's dead with them.
They're so advanced. They're there already. That's the third wave. The gift of the world are these children. But the other ones, we have to catch up. But I said it has to be a gradual process, a gradual shifting. And many of these, especially the older people, they said if you can't handle it, you'll transition. Because now the energy is speeding up and they're moving much, much faster.
So, folks, that is the end of the live. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's been a mad one. Thank you for participating and stuff like that. I've started off quite sober. I'm now quite pissed, if I'm being honest with you. I'm going to go to sleep now. But what I will say to you is thank you so much. If you enjoyed this, the next live is probably going to be about past lives and children that are speaking about the past lives and near-death experiences and stuff like that. So if you're interested in that, please think about subscribing to the channel. As always, keep your eyes to the skies because the next story could be yours. I'm going to ask one favour from everybody. Just one quick favour. I'm going to end the live in a second. If you could all just come straight back to the live, it's instant, and just drop a comment saying that you enjoyed it. Or if you hated it, it doesn't matter. Trolls are welcome as well. It just helps the YouTube know that the algorithm liked this. And if you've watched it through the telly, thank you so much, because that helps more as well if you watch it through the TV. It's set up for the TV. And I hope you appreciate that. I put these videos and clips together in a way which sort of catered for everybody, people at the UFO side of it and the spiritual side of it. The next one will be about near-death experiences and about past lives and stuff like that. I want to cater for everybody. If you didn't like this live, you might like the next one. If you don't like that one, you might like the one after. Give it time. I will grow on you. I promise I will grow on you. And I don't take no shit. And it's very rare you'll get blocked from me, because there's nobody that can give me shit that I can't give shit back to. So you can always come to a channel where you can give me shit. So thank you so much. Thank you. I had a blast. New subscriber. Thank you, Bobo Joe, for subscribing. Thank you for sharing live stream. Thank you. Brilliant, Matt. Thank you, Heiser, for sharing it. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, BA, by the way. She's the author. Make sure you give her a follow on X and on TikTok. She's the author of the book and stuff like that. Thank you, Andreas, for becoming a member and stuff like that. If you do want to become a member, I'm going to be doing a merchandise soon, and all members will get a free gift from the merchandise. It's just having time to do it around a job and stuff like that. Remember, this is not my full-time job. I'm here for disclosure, not for a fucking salary, and that's what people get muddled up with. Once you make this topic a salary, you don't want to share stuff on your channel because you might get demonetized and your rent doesn't get paid or your mortgage doesn't get paid. I don't want to be in that category. I want to do this on the side, alongside knowing that I've got nothing to worry about with my bills. I get off my ass and I go to work. I'm going to go to sleep now, and I'm going to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and go to work. And nobody will know that I've been on a live talking about UFOs with thousands of people. That's how it should be. Anyway, keep your eyes to the skies because the next story could be yours. Good night, God bless, and please come back to this video instantly and drop a comment. Love you all.